and shit.
And we're back.
Super live. Or we're still here if you're like watching consecutively on YouTube or something, which would be awesome. But
Binge watching the endless adventure.
Damn.
It's been a little while, but 3 of us made it so far.
Yeah, so far.
We might have a 4th. We'll see.
Brian will show up.
He's getting his hair cut, apparently.
It's a good thing to do
I
in the middle of our
guess
podcast.
that's a good, like, if you're doing something, oh no, I'm getting my hair cut. I'll be there late, as soon as I can, like, if you're up to something else.
In his defense, though, well, he said Wednesday, but he probably doesn't know it's Wednesday.
That is true. I can see that.
It's not his fault.
I was saying he should just come here and let us cut his hair.
I'm down.
I mean, that'd be a fun time right
yeah.
there.
Got some trimmers.
Uptown fade.
Look, there's a razor blade right there.
There we go.
We could do some spirals
flock of
into
seagulls
the
on the
sides.
other or something.
Yeah, hook them up.
So, we were talking the other day about the new Spider-Verse, and I showed John the trailer today. Had you seen it before that, or had you totally forgotten about it after we talked about it?
I forgot about it, but you sent it to me, and then I saw it about 12 to 800 people shared it on Blue Ribbon and just on their pages and stuff. Like, Bill shared it and was all gaga over it and everything.
And you've seen it, right, Kel?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Multiple times.
So.
I've watched it multiple times. I've examined this trailer.
The one I actually sent to him...
I'm excited for it.
The one I sent to him today was actually a little bit more in depth than the one I had seen before even, so it was kind of cool. But if you don't know what we're talking about, look it up. It's readily available all over YouTube. Just type in Spider-Verse. It'll pop right up. Or Animated Spider-Man or some shit. But it's
you probably just type in "the" and it'll probably come up at this point.
It's a new, right? It's a new animated Spider-Man that's coming out. Where the basic gist of it is that there's a shit ton of Spider-Mans running around.
Or would it be Spider-Man?
I don't know, Spiderman, Joel Spiderman.
Joel Spiderman.
Okay, that sounds good.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty badass. I mean, just watching in the trailer, like the angle of him being a kid where, like, he shows him in the trailer where he pulls up to the school and the dad's a cop and he's yelling at him over the PA to tell him he loves him.
Right.
That shit cracked me up. So I think it's going to be a pretty good flick.
I'm excited. I love the characters. I'm excited Miles Morales is getting his shot in the Spider-Man costume because I always enjoyed his story arc. So that's exciting. But, it takes place in an alternate reality. I think it's Earth 63? No, wait, that's Gwen Stacy. That's, but it's one of the alternate Earths because, in the comics there's all these different timelines and whatnot.
So you get away with whatever you want.
Yeah, so it's an alternate universe where, like it says in the trailer, they have their own Spider-Man, but there's more than just one Spider-Man. There's other people that have Spider-Man powers. So, I'm excited for it. The character came from the Ultimates line of comics. Did you guys ever read any of those? The Ultimate one? It was, they rebooted the whole Marvel Universe for the modern time.
Okay.
So it's like they redid like the Avengers. They called them the Ultimates. They redid the Avengers, but like if the Avengers happened in 1998 instead of back in the 60s, how they originally were in the comics. So it's kind of like what the movies are.
Right.
Before the movies happened. It's kind of like gave you what the movies became. A lot of the stories in the movies come from the Ultimate Comics as well.
Okay.
But so in the Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker actually dies, and Miles Morales takes over as Spider-Man for him, this young
up-and-comer.
Yeah, young up-and-comer. So, but yeah, I'm excited for the character. So that's going to be exciting.
It looks like it's just one of those where, kind of like the newer Spider-Man stuff has been going in the movies too, where basically he's a kid with a spider suit and doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and he has to find a mentor to figure it out, but instead of a Tony Stark mentor, it's other Spider-Man mentors.
It's Peter Parker. It's their universe is a Peter Parker. He's old, he's farther along in his Spider-Man career, as you saw when he's eating the cheeseburger.
Right.
He's like, I really love this burger. But then, and like he's like, asking the kid for cash, but so it's a different universe as Peter Parker, who's in his later years as Spider-Man. Is like, I can show you the ropes of how to do this.
What's up,
and
Trevor?
Stuff like that. So, I really like the concept of it. I'm excited for it. I love the animation too. It looks so good.
I was just going to bring that up. It's I jacked a little bit of comments off of Bill Bushman's sharing of the video, and some guy was saying it looked like fake stop animation or something, and technically that's what all animation is for the most part. Right. But I dig it. I think it's just different enough that it doesn't look like every other animated movie.
The one scene that I really loved was after he was like found out he was like having issues with his powers. He's running down the street and he saw like the comic book bubbles popping up behind him.
Oh yeah,
with the text, and it was like something straight out of one of the Ultimate the comic books. I loved how they put that in there. Like his thoughts as bubbles behind him. Like I was like, that's perfect. It's like watching a moving comic book, which is what cartoons should be.
Mm-hmm. Have you paid attention to who's voicing anything? I meant to look it up earlier and I forgot.
I know the chick who's doing the female Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen. I know that she's also in the new Transformers Bumblebee spinoff. She's the main character girl
that
from
looks good too.
So yeah, the girl you saw in that trailer, that's her. She does the voice of Spider-Gwen.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember who does the other voices. I looked it up at one point.
Peter Parker almost sounded like Ben Affleck or somebody.
I don't
think it was, but it did.
Yeah. I didn't look any of those up. That's the only one I knew for sure.
The cop dad sounded really familiar too. I wanted to look him up, but
he was hilarious in the comic. I mean, in the trailer, the dad was crazy. Don't cops run red lights?
They sure do. Yeah, some do.
Not this one. His dad just seemed like he's gonna be one of like the good straight man.
Right.
That's just hitting with the jokes that aren't supposed to be jokes, but you're laughing at.
And then when he's screaming through traffic, and they have his voice in the background talking about you only get one chance to decide who you are in life, or which path you're gonna take, and that kind of shit. That was kind of cool too. So I think it's gonna be pretty badass. I can't wait for it. It says it's not coming out till like fucking Christmas.
It's Christmas. It comes out on Christmas, I think. I think it might be one of the Christmas Day releases. You know how they do.
And that trailer's already like 6 months old already.
Yeah, the first couple are, but they just dropped a new one like a few days ago.
Yeah, that's the one that I just sent to John today.
The 2-minute long one was the new one they just dropped. But yeah, it looks really good. I'm excited for it.
I think it's going to be really cool. Do you think it's going to turn into be a long drawn out series, or? I
wouldn't mind it. I'm looking at the trailer, it looks like it's going to be good. I'm like, this looks like it's going to be a good-ass freaking movie, and I love the animation. So if they do nail the story with it, I wouldn't mind if it becomes more than a one-off.
Right.
I wouldn't mind there to be an actual, Spider-Man cartoon like that.
I would have liked to see it as like a Netflix series or something.
And you've seen that happen before with Star Wars, the Clone Wars.
Right.
The very first Clone Wars, the cartoon was a 2-hour movie that I went and saw in Harkins, and then 6 months later, the actual show started on whichever network ran it. I always watch on streaming, so I don't know any shows networks anymore. I can't tell you what network to go to watch a show, but I can tell you how good the show is because I watch it on Netflix or whatever. But and 6 months later, it started. It was on one of the Disney channels, I think, because Disney owns it. But they didn't own it then, but they own it now. But they did that with Clone Wars, so I wouldn't mind that if they did that. And then someone's like, you know what, this is awesome. Let's pick everybody up and continue it as an animated series. I'd be down for a half-hour to hour animated episode.
Me too.
Heck yeah. But yeah, we're discussing a little bit at work, and Kenny's like, a whole bunch of Spider-Mans running around, huh? Did Spider-Man get a little loose with his juice? And I was like, we got to thinking and kind of discussing back and forth. If Spider-Man procreated, specifically with Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl, Spider-Gwen, whatever.
Would they have 200 babies?
Would she have a regular live birth baby? Would she have 100 live birth babies? Or would she lay eggs? Because genetically, he is infused with spider genes now. It isn't just... He didn't just gain powers, he's part spider now.
Maybe it's 50-50.
And also, you did mention, what if he procreated with one of the many spider women there are? So she would have spider genes as well.
Right, so it could be one dominant, one recessive. It might still be...
That could be interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know which way that would roll.
And then you're having 300 of them running around.
That's what I'm saying. Like it hatches out 300 little... spider babies.
You have to call the Avengers in for a Spider-Man.
I mean,
we just gave birth to the Spider NFL.
We do have one. We do have one comic reference of it because they did do a series that showed Peter Parker later in life. It was a Spider-Girl series that was his daughter. Like him and Mary Jane had a girl, and she inherited his genes. So she had not the full strength that he had. She was a little bit weaker in areas, but she had his powers.
Right.
So they did do something like that.
Which is funny because
Mary Jane didn't have 20 spider babies.
Her kid could have even more powerful.
It could be. You never know. But yeah, she was a little bit weaker in areas, but she wanted to be Spider-Man, and Parker didn't want her to take over. Like he had to retire because he lost his leg and all kinds of shit. So it was one of those ones where
did he check lost and found?
Yeah, but they wasn't there.
Do we have any knowledge?
Not really.
We don't have much knowledge at all.
I mean, we as in the world, very generically, not us, because I know we don't.
The royal we.
If we had it, I wouldn't have to ask.
Touche.
Do you have any knowledge as to where all the Spider-Men came from?
It just depends on what Earth you're on. They all have their own different origin stories. Like you saw in that trailer, whenever he was like talking, when they were doing like he was talking to Miles, but we were seeing Miles do everything. He saw the spider. You know?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then he went to touch it, it like evaporated. So we know if that was a dream or what. So
right.
in some worlds, it's passed on genetically. In some of them, people get bit by different radioactive whatever spiders or
which is why
spiders.
They're slightly different.
Yeah. So there's just a whole lot of different reasonings, and the majority of it usually is because it is the alternate universes. So and so gets bitten by a spider instead, because that's what like Spider-Gwen, we saw her, but she in the trailer she's going to be in this movie. In her universe, she was bit by the spider instead of Peter Parker on the field trip, because she's Gwen Stacy. That was his first girlfriend in the comics. They went to school together. So on the field trip where he got bit, instead in her universe, she's the one who got bit instead of him. So that whole offshoot, and then she had to like. He was the one that she was protecting all the time, as opposed to him protecting the girl. The girl was protecting the little nerdy guy who couldn't, always having to save him in her world.
Interesting.
Yeah. Until he got murked out. I believe he died in her comics. Peter Parker did, and she couldn't save him. And that was just because, like, Gwen Stacy died in his comics. His first girlfriend killed by the Green Goblin. So it was like the reverse in her world. She lost Peter, and that was her whole moral thing.
That's a great thing about the comic book world is you don't like the way some shit went. You just make up a different.
Just make up a different.
You start it over.
Just say,
else.
yeah, this is happening on Earth 567 alternate universe. We can do it all different now.
So just ignore everything you ever know except for some of the stuff, because we'll probably take that and just flip it.
But yeah, so I mean, like I said, each one has their own origin story of who became what. So, like, I'm going to be interested, like, how Spider-Gwen, how they're mixing her into with the Miles Morales and Peter Parker storyline and everything.
Hey, look, Kenny logged in and started watching right after you finished talking shit about him.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's good
timing. Hi, Kenny.
Good thing you didn't start listening like 2 minutes ago.
Good thing you can't rewind. Oh, he could.
Not
damn.
for a while. I think you have to wait till
you gotta wait till we stop before you can go back. Because you're good for a couple hours. One of the things that was interesting in the Spider-Man movie, the last one that came out, the Homecoming, there was a reference to Miles Morales.
Really?
Yeah. Remember the gangster that he was like trying to shake down for information, played by Donald Glover, the black guy. His character's name is Miles Morales' uncle, who is in the Spider-Man comic books. Miles' uncle is like a gangster guy. He runs with gangs and runs guns and stuff like that. And that was the name of Donald Glover's character. So that his uncle's in the movie. So they could easily maybe down the road bring him in. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Maybe that's a hint
to those of us that are really
eventually.
deep into the shit and like, oh, I know that fucking name. That's Miles Morales' uncle. He's in the new MCU movie.
Huh.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was a little nod for Spider-Man fans that, look, hey, here's his uncle, so maybe he exists in this universe. We don't know. But, they're always leaving the door open with all the little Easter eggs they love to throw in all the comic book movies, which I love the shit out of. Like, references nobody else gets but, like, 5 people. And you're like, yeah, I'm one of those 5. I know it.
That's how I make my memes. Just for like 5 people.
But yeah, so I was like, when I saw that, I was like, hitting my wife's shoulder. I'm like, that's his uncle. She's like, who? I'm like, Miles Morales, the Black Spider-Man. And she's like, okay.
She's like, all right.
I'm just excited that he's getting, like, that's a nod to Miles in a movie.
That's funny.
And then now we're getting him in the Spider-Verse, which he's the center of the story, which I'm so excited about.
It looks really, really good. I can't wait. So, you want to talk about Solo?
Oh, yes, I want to talk about Solo. Solo, a Star Wars story. You haven't seen it yet, right? Danny saw it?
I did.
Thoughts?
Absolutely loved it. I really like the whole backstory, the origins thing. Like, kind of historically, I hate origins movies for the most part. Never liked them. Like X-Men, really, the origins just sucked bad in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, like when they did Wolverine's trying to like tell his beginning story before he met the X-Men and shit.
Yeah, all that stuff. Just wasn't into it. Didn't like it. And then Solo comes along, and that was just a really good fucking movie. I loved it. I love that. Just how he got to see the Millennium Falcon come about, and a whole bunch of other Wookiees, and that shit was awesome.
You know, like right now, it's not doing well in theaters, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Disney has a Star Wars movie that's kind of bombing right now. It's not making the money that they expected it to make." You know, I think it earned $85 million. Its opening weekend, they were projecting like 130 to 150, and
ouch.
The next weekend it didn't do so well, and then everyone's like, "Well, what's to blame?" You know, and they're like, "Well, you know, I mean, you had Avengers come out, and then like a couple weeks later, Deadpool comes out, and then a week after that, Solo. So people are oversaturated, and then there's a lot of people talking about like the marketing campaign was not run very well, like getting it out there to people like what this movie's really about and why they should be interested in stuff. I don't understand why people aren't seeing it because it was a good ass fucking movie. Yeah. Like it was really, really good, and it hit all the points.
The casting was phenomenal for it. I thought. I mean, Woody Harrelson in anything is good, but I think he played his part fantastically.
Danny texted me, or no, yeah, you texted me, and you were like. No, you asked him. What did you think about
Woody Harrelson?
No, you texted me. He's like,
I don't remember.
Yeah, you texted me. He's like, "What do you think? Was it weird seeing Woody Harrelson in a Star Wars movie?" I'm like, "No, because he played the character so well, you forgot that was Woody Harrelson." Yeah. Like after I got a movie, I'm like, I want to see a movie about him.
No shit.
Give me his lead up to this movie. How did he get to this space?
Yeah.
And how did he become the person he is? I want to see his movie now. And I believe that they're actually because a lot of people ask that question. They're doing a little mini comic series run. Star Wars comic miniseries run to tell you his story of his character. But I just thought the movie was good, and like you said, I mean, it hit all the points.
It does have
Star Wars.
A bunch of, without going into detail, the ending of it definitely made you wonder how they're going to, how they're going to continue, if we're going to see a continuation of Solo's story before Star Wars, or if they're going to use another character's story to continue from that point on, but it definitely left it to the point where they have to have plans to continue it in some way.
They did that ending with the intention that hopefully we can turn this into like maybe a trilogy, telling more of his story, because there's still a lot of years between the end of this movie and when we see him. So
you think it's going to be more solos?
So I think that they plan more solos. If Disney has the balls to put him out after the low reception of this one, is a different story. That's the thing that worries me sometimes when I go to see a movie that I really like, and then I see the returns aren't doing good, and I'm like, I know you motherfuckers are planning a sequel. Now you're going to get fucking cold feet. You're going to get scared to put it out, and I want to see where it's going to go.
The only plus to that could be since Disney's starting their own streaming service, maybe we'll see like
the rest of it as a
Netflix
Disney
type series
exclusive.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really well done. Like I said, the casting was great. Woody Harrelson was great. Donald Glover killed it.
Yeah,
as fucking Lando. His Lando was like spot on from the very first scene. It's all true. I was like, yes.
I was talking about how I don't remember if this was with you or not, but now I want to see. I could totally go see just a Millennium Falcon backstory.
Yeah,
like if they because. It kind of, the origins of the Millennium Falcon, where it was built and shit, but how many people it went through before it ends up in Solo's hands. And
there was a good book, and I think that I'm pretty sure it's still part of the legends now of the canon that they've excerpted. But they did a book called The Millennium Falcon, and that's what it was. It started off with it on the assembly line. And it went through the lifespan of the Millennium Falcon coming up to Han Solo. The different people who owned it, shit they did with it, stuff that happened to it, changes that were made to it, stuff like that. And I mean, one of the things I would like to see, I'd like to see a Lando movie. I think Donald Glover could carry a Lando movie. And I'd like if they went back before Solo. Show how did he get the Millennium Falcon? How did he get that crazy-ass robot he had?
Right, that was cool.
I would like to see that story of like, how did he come about all that? So I could see them doing that because I thought his Lando was phenomenal. And like, see, more of the, I love that it was the workings of the underworld and everything like that.
Definitely.
And like, I think I was trying to tell, like when I was described it to you guys in the texting, I said it's like watching a spaghetti western heist movie in Star Wars land.
Absolutely.
And that's literally what it is. It's like watching, one of them old Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns where they're doing a train heist, but you're in Star Wars.
It's definitely has that whole, like, Young Guns type feel to it.
Exactly.
For sure.
It's just, it has a real western vibe to it.
Yeah.
And like you said,
everybody's friends, but never trusts anybody.
You can't trust anybody.
They all love and hate each other at the exact same time.
Like, he may be your best friend in the world, but you don't turn your back on him.
Right.
Like, they live in that society where I love the point to hit. Like it set up so many things. How did he? And we talked about this ages ago when it first was. Talked about them making it. It tells how did he get the Millennium Falcon, how did he meet Chewie, and all this stuff. And one thing you said, more Wookiees. What I love about that, and I don't know if most people noticed, that those Wookiees were the ones from the old Star Wars Christmas special.
Really?
Oh, no shit?
Yeah, that was Chewbacca's family from the Star Wars Christmas special.
And that's
so
one
they
thing
kind of
that's-
brought them back into it and gave them a little scene there. That's why they look different. They didn't look like Chewbacca. Some of them had some really weird faces.
And that's also
because those Wookiees in the trailers in the Christmas special were weird as fuck.
One thing they did in that, and I can talk about this without really giving anything away, is they always talk about, in all the Star Wars movies, they talk about how he's kind of like Chewie's looking for his family, but they never actually tell you if these ones are his family or not.
No,
they hint to it.
They
that it might
hint at
be,
it. Yeah,
but
they kind
don't
of
let you know.
halfways
Yeah.
don't tell you if it is or is not.
Right.
They won't confirm it. They don't want to confirm that it is his family that we see.
Because if they end up making a Chewbacca story where he goes out to look for his dad, then they don't want to be like, oh, his dad's over here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of why they left it really vague in case they need to change it up later. But yeah, I thought that was really fucking cool.
Yeah,
and hearing Han actually speak Wookiee.
Oh, that was funny as shit. He's like, yes, I know a little. But he's like, I'm like...
Sounds like a whale getting raped
yeah,
or something.
I was like, oh, that's so good that you actually see. Because before, we never see anybody speak Wookiee. A lot of people understand it, but because it's hard to speak, obviously. Yeah. We heard him try. Yeah. That sounds like that would be rough on your vocal cords to do that day in, day out. But, you always, Chewbacca knows basic, so he can understand what you're saying to him. He just can't form the words.
Right.
But yeah, that was cool to see someone actually speaking Wookiee at him. I really enjoyed that.
Hearing Solo talk about how...
speak common.
Hearing Solo talk about how, like basically he would never join something like the Rebellion because he's so not about that life, basically. It's that he doesn't want no part of that shit. He's not a hero. He's an outlaw. Yeah. That was pretty funny, too.
Yeah, they really tried to, set up showing you, how this character became who he became. And then, the one part I want to talk about, but I can't because it's a big spoiler, is right at the end really sets up, it shows you who he is. When it ends, you're like, yeah, that's the Han Solo we know, not the one George Lucas fucked with later when he tried to do his digital editing to the movies. This is the Han Solo we saw in the original release of Star Wars, who he was, the kind of guy he was.
And not just his character. I mean, Chewie, we pretty much kind of know his story the whole thing through. I mean, he is what he is. He's like a sidekick forever from that point on. But every other character that ends that movie, you want to know where it happens.
Oh, you want to know what happens to him. Exactly. Like we were saying, you're like, are they setting up another movie that's going with some different characters in a different way? Right. Or will we get to see them again in a Han Solo sequel?
Because they could very easily, they could very easily jump into, a Lando story and have his movie pick up where they left off, but have Solo pop into it again or whatever the case is. They could have, a Rebel Alliance beginnings movie that kind of picks that off, and then that would be another one was it Rogue One style where they don't have any necessarily real main characters in there, but they still give you a beginning story.
Right.
So I mean, they could go 1,000 different directions with that. So it's going to be really curious to see what they do with it.
And like I said, it comes down to does Disney have the balls to do it after the returns from Solo right now? Because everyone's like, oh, it's a flop, it's a flop. Right. What is Disney going to do? They've had their first giant flop from Star Wars or MCU verse.
Yeah. I really hope at bare minimum they turn it into a series and throw it out there in the streaming world somewhere, if nothing else. But I don't know. And then talk about casting. Did you get the feeling like that was the first time Emilia Clarke's done anything other than Game of Thrones where she fucking fit in?
Yeah,
Any other movie she's done, I just really didn't really. Yeah, you're looking at she just didn't
fit the
have
character.
The quality.
Yeah, she had she had the Terminator movie.
Right.
She did. Where they tried to reboot Terminator with her. And she's had some other ones here, but like you said, I mean, it's hard to look at her and not be like, that's Khaleesi.
Right.
That's, she's Daenerys Targaryen. That's who she is.
And this one, you're like, holy shit, she fits in. She makes sense. She's good at it.
Yeah, she does well as the character. And there was a lot of people on the internet that said she was too wooden and didn't have enough emotion. I thought she did really good.
I thought... I mean, she was damaged goods in that movie. Exactly. She needed to be too wooden and not enough emotion to survive.
Because, they implied shit that, Disney's not going to say.
Right.
They're not going to come out and say, this shit happened to her.
Right.
But it's implied. This is the shit she went through.
Yeah.
The way the one guy acted around her, the, main bad guy, you're like, oh, yeah, she... shit's happened to her. Yeah, she had some, exactly. But they're not going to say that because, it's Disney and it's Star Wars. But you're like, yeah, that happened. They implied it enough,
They
shit
definitely
that she's gone through.
Yeah, since she's left her planet, she was the fucking she was tossed around like a sex toy for some god-awful amount of time. And actually, it was like 3-4 years, right?
It was like 4 years later or something.
Just under 4 years, and then...
before she like claws her way
she works
out.
her way up through the ranks kind of thing, yeah. So it definitely gave that impression. I don't know. I could watch that backstory too, even though we don't know who the fuck she is.
No, we don't.
Because she's really never mentioned in any of the other stuff.
No, she was one that was never mentioned before. She was created
totally made for this movie.
Totally made for this movie. Same with a lot of the characters, like Woody Harrelson's character, totally made for this movie. You know, and then but some of the other kind of gangsters and stuff that were in this movie have been like, you know, mentioned in other Star Wars canon and stuff like that. But she was a total creation.
I didn't recognize her, but the rebel chick with all the freckles. Mm-hmm. Were we supposed to know who she is? They kind of made it seem like she was a lot bigger deal than she was.
No, they're not
or was
really.
Because they seemed like we should know who she was already. You know what I mean?
She took her helmet off. Mm-hmm. No, not really.
Is everybody's gasping, and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is.
I hate that when there's like a big reveal of something that you don't get, and especially if it's not that important. Or
I was going to ask you about that the next day after I watched that, honestly, to see if you knew, because I'm like, fuck, I feel like I should know who she is, but it just didn't seem
it wasn't
familiar
that
at all.
like big of a major reveal type thing. But
other than she was
other than there was, you know, a chick, and they weren't bad people, like type thing.
The whole twisted plot thing, but I was definitely thrilled with it, man. I couldn't get enough. I could have watched another hour of it for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were well done. I don't understand why it's not doing well in theaters. People are just...
There's a lot of shitty reviews about it,
That's what I'm saying, too, and like I don't get it, because like, I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. You guys know I'm really deep into the Star Wars universe, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. I know it's a surprise.
What?
It's a surprise to some
people.
The
hell you say?
But like, I enjoyed the shit out of it. I thought it hit all the points that it needed to hit. So, I liked it. I mean, I know that there was a lot of people who were like, oh, well, the whole director change halfway through is going to mess it up. And
I didn't notice the problem.
And there was all this talk about the guy who's playing, I'm not even going to try to say his fucking name, but the guy who's playing the Han Solo, that, you know, he's a horrible actor and they had to get an acting coach. And like, I'm like, they got an acting coach, it fucking worked. He did well.
Maybe he wasn't a horrible actor. Maybe he just wasn't hitting the character marks that they wanted. But
you know, I mean, like, he wasn't like, you know... He wasn't, obviously, he's not fucking Harrison Ford. Who is? I mean, you know, he's one of the biggest, greatest actors, you know, at the top that we've ever had in Harrison Ford with all the things he's played over the years. But I mean, Harrison Ford wasn't Harrison Ford before he was Harrison Ford in Star Wars. You got to start somewhere.
And he was like, the mannerisms, you could totally see young Harrison Ford in him, I think.
The way he stood, the way he walked, the way he held himself, you could tell he studied.
Shit-eating grin,
exactly,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think they hit it right on the fucking head.
He studied it, or if they did bring in an acting coach, the acting coaches, that's what you said, he wasn't hitting the mannerisms. They're like, no. Han Solo would move this way. This is how he walks. You know, this is how he holds his gun. This is how he would smile. No, you're not hitting right. More on the left corner. I don't know. Whatever he did, he nailed all the mannerisms of it.
And I think if they would have used a big-name actor in there, they would have taken a lot away from it, because you couldn't watch that movie and have a Harrison Ford equivalent in that movie and buy that it's young Harrison Ford.
Right.
You know what
exactly.
I mean? You couldn't have like a Tobey Maguire situation where it's just a younger guy that's kind of up there and just it doesn't fit. You know what I mean? I think it would have totally ruined it if they would have.
You know, and there were a lot of people that were saying, "Oh, are they going to do like they did with Princess Leia in Rogue One, where it's digital and stuff, so it looks exactly like young Carrie Fisher, blah blah blah." And I'm like, I'm glad that they said, "Look, we're not going to do that. We're just going to get an actor, and he's just going to be a young Han Solo." I mean, obviously, he's not going to be what Harrison Ford looked at that age.
Plus, they didn't want to have to pay Harrison Ford. On top of everything else.
Pay somebody to act it and pay Harrison Ford to do nothing but show up.
Or let them use their face,
Yeah, but I thought that it came off well and everybody did a really good job. So
I
hope that it revs up.
This is the first Star Wars theatrical release that I wasn't excited about. I'm going to watch it and I'll probably really enjoy it, but I can't get amped up about it.
I think that's the overall feeling. That's why the returns are so well, that people didn't get amped up about it the way they have past Star Wars movies. Yeah. You know, and I think like, you know, whenever I read the article about maybe it was the way that they, you know, the PR for it and how they promoted and stuff, maybe they just, didn't hit it right. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe that's the feeling, because people weren't like, oh yeah, fucking go watch this Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
They weren't excited about it, and that's really why it fell flat. Not because it's a bad movie in any way, shape, or form. And whenever you watch it, you're going to enjoy the hell out of it because it's a good ass flick.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the hype that the other movies had.
They did a really good job at incorporating some of the shit that we already knew existed but never got to see. Like, how he got the Millennium Falcon was fucking cool. The making the run.
Oh yeah, the Kessel. We actually saw the Kessel run in the movie.
You
see the Kessel run in the movie, and they actually corrected the whole 12 parsecs.
Because that's distance, not time.
Is distance, not time.
Right.
And they actually now, when you watch this movie, you're like, okay, now it works. They corrected this error that people have always bagged on for years and years and years.
And we also know he's like any other car driver and basically exaggerated the shit out of it.
Right?
And got called on it. He's like, well, you always round down with stuff like that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, because it was like 12.8 or something.
Yeah.
Like 12. I just like when he was like trying to tell people and nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah.
At first.
I just did it in this, and
then
like,
everyone's like, okay, just go about their business. Like, they don't give a fuck about you and your 12 parsecs, dude. Come on.
And how as soon as he saw it, like, before it was his, he was, I'm meant to be with that ship.
Oh, yeah.
That's
He,
my
like,
ship.
instantly, like, he saw and he's like, yes. Just, and, a lot of people can get that feeling because sometimes you'll see a car and you're like, that's me.
Mine.
That's mine. Like, I'm buying that car. I don't care if it takes me the rest of my life. At some point in my life, I'm going to own of that car.
Let me sideline the conversation. I was wondering something the other day because I've never personally done it. Have either of you guys ever actually bought the car you wanted? Not just, I have money. Hey, this guy's selling this car for this money. I'm going to buy this car.
Oh, yeah.
But you went out and said, you know what? I'm going to buy a 1984 Chevy truck, and I want it to be black. And you go out and find a black 84 Chevy truck and buy it.
Yeah, mine. Yeah, I have, except a lot more specific than that, because mine was an 84 Chevy truck.
Wow.
I stocked that truck for 2 years until he finally wanted to sell it and wanted that specific truck. And
Damn, you actually went for the specific one. Not
I
just
didn't get that specific, but I had a vehicle like that I saw, and I'm like, I really like the way that looks. That's the next vehicle I want to purchase. And like a year and a half down the road, when I went to buy a new car, that's what I bought.
Right on.
Yeah, mine
I was like, I didn't look at anything else on the lot. I went there specifically to get that vehicle because that's just what I wanted at that time in my life.
No, mine was literally every time I see that truck, God, I wish he would sell that truck so I could figure out how to buy it.
Yeah, so you
and
wanted
then,
that.
Like 2 years go by, and he's like, because I would always, he worked at Safeway, and I'd always walk in there, hey, you want to sell that truck yet? No, I'm never selling that truck. And then I walk in one day, and he's like, I was like, hey, you want to sell that truck yet? And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about putting it up for sale this week.
I've only been
not
asking
yet.
you for 2 years. Yes, I've never been that specific where like it wasn't just like, oh, I want that make and model of a vehicle.
What was it that you
he's
got?
Like, I want that car, a Dodge Durango.
Okay.
I'd really like when they it was in '98 when they first came out in the like '97 or ish or whatever. I really wanted a Dodge Durango really bad, and so I ended up getting myself one.
The 5.2 or 5.9?
I had 99 with a 5.9, and that was the coolest shit ever, except couldn't keep it running.
Yeah.
It had some goofy...
It was a beast while it was going.
It had some goofy electrical problem from... because that whole era of Dodge did. Mm-hmm. And it would just die while you were driving it, and sometimes you'd hit the key and it would start right back up. Sometimes it wouldn't start for 2 weeks.
I didn't have any issues with that, but man, I love that. I took that thing out went out to the river so many times. Fucking just driving through the mud and shit in it, and just...
I love that it could tow a trailer with 7 people in it, but not have it be a giant.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a beast for what it was. It did the job. I mean, I remember one time a bunch of us went camping, and we just took that as our vehicle out there. We were out kind of near Big Wash, out by the Gila River, and we were sitting there fishing, and some idiot in his truck comes along all fucking lifted up and proud of himself and decides he's going to drive past us through the river, like where we're fucking fishing, and he gets his ass fucking stuck. And I pulled him out with my Durango. I just threw a tow rope around his thing from the back of my Durango and pulled his ass right out after they were out there for about an hour and a half trying to get his truck out of the fucking river, throwing river stones under the tires and all kinds of shit trying to get it loose before they finally got the balls up. I'm like, my friends kept saying, are you going to say? I'm like, I'm not going to fucking offer them help. They're going to come over here and ask us. Mm-hmm. And they're going to fucking apologize for driving through our fishing spot. And they came over, they're like, man, we're really sorry that we drove through here and shit, we're stuck, can you pull us out? And I'm like, yeah, I got you. And I pulled them right out without a problem, like that. I love that thing.
I've rescued a lot of people out of that river.
Yeah.
Been rescued out of it several times.
I'd probably still be driving that thing if it wasn't for the fact that the oil pump went out and the light didn't kick on. And I had no idea, and it fucking burned the engine out when I was going down the 60 one day.
One time and I say we very liberally, it was...
One time this guy I know...
Danny, and I was in the passenger seat, saved, what was it, 2 or 3, like...
That sounds about right, though. I don't think I've ever heard a story of you guys in a vehicle that started without you being in the passenger seat and Danny driving, to be honest.
But these Jeeps that couldn't quite make it across that river were very, very, very capable Jeeps, and they just couldn't make it over that last hump to get back out of the river, and so...
Oh, is that when we led all of them to the coke ovens and shit? Yeah, it was there was 4 of them that were basically...
One was outrageous, and the rest were just really, really nice.
But it was the river was really deep. Like in my big-ass lifted Blazer, it was running over the floor.
Oh,
if you go back to MySpace, there's a video of us crossing it.
There is. And we on the next bank, it was fairly steep climbing out of it, and all the others were so light they were basically floating. So they'd get to the edge, and the tires weren't touching the bottom enough to where they could drive out. So we had to pull them all out of the river. It was pretty funny.
I love that when you see someone who has, like you said, like one of them was really looked like he should handle some shit and he couldn't do it. I love that when you see someone who has their vehicle that tricked out and then they can't fucking do something.
Well, I remember my old Blazer.
It cracks me up.
We were out, and I don't remember if you were with me when that happened or not, but this guy had this badass Rubicon Jeep, and he pulls up next to me way out in like the Martinez Canyon area past the...
So you don't want to go that way because...
Oh, no, not even that one. This it might have been the same guy, honestly, but... he pulls up next to me. He's like, "You need to get one of these." And I was like, "How much did that thing cost you?" And he's like, "Shit, I probably got $80,000 invested into it." And I'm like, "We're parked in the same spot, right?" So
right, like
I got here too. And he's like, "Yeah, but..." And I'm like, "I got like $6,000 invested in my shit, and I'm going anywhere you're going, and don't care if I smash it on a rock."
That's like the Fast and the Furious scene in the first one. Ferrari, dude, and then he blows the Ferrari away, and their little tuner they put like $10,000 in,
right.
and that Ferrari's how fucking much? And he's like,
but he's like
Ferrari, like no.
That's funny. Yeah, we
Do you really want to overpay to do the exact same thing?
Right?
Then get one of these. What's up, nephew?
That was always my favorite thing, is rescuing really expensive Jeeps with my shitty old Blazer. We
always wanted to get a sticker.
I was
going
to get a stamp like the old fighter planes,
and put it on the side.
Just the Jeep grill with lights.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
I remember.
But now he's got a Jeep and freaking loves it.
Only off-road. I can't stand driving that motherfucker on the pavement. Shit's the most annoying vehicle on earth to travel in. Get it in the desert, it's amazingly capable. I'm blown away by how good it is, but...
Highway driving. It's not where it's at. But I mean, I
hate getting in and out of it, and it feels like you have to sit in the same position the whole time. It just kind of bothers me a little bit.
Well, as the perpetual passenger, I can understand your feelings on that.
It happens.
I'm waiting for the one day to get a story where he's like, "Yeah, I was driving and Danny was sitting in the passenger seat next to me, and we did this."
What sucks is it happens. It happens. We just never do anything cool.
He's like, "Yeah," and then we went to Safeway and back. Yeah. Like that's the story.
I took Danny up to the doctor's office in Scottsdale, and then we got that Piccadilly's.
And it was all done,
and it was so good.
Oh, not Piccadilly's. But, God damn it! You wouldn't have said it wrong. I would have been able to tell you. God damn it! The Chicago hot dog joint.
Super amazingly good.
Fuck hell.
I don't know which one.
Oh well, I'll think of it.
It's not Piccadilly's though,
yeah.
but it's something kind of similar.
Piccadilly's is that little Slotsky style joint,
but he's like, damn it! I had a story.
Portello's.
Yep, Portello's. If you've never been, go. It's freaking amazing.
I'd been to one of the original ones in Chicago, so when they opened one in Scottsdale, I'm like, holy fuck, we gotta go. And then when I fucked up my hand, my doctor's office was literally like a block from it, and I was like, oh, this is perfect.
This is meant to be.
So that was the stop. And then I always had to hurry the fuck up and get out of there before the pain kicked in after they fuck with it because they'd numb it and shit.
Yeah.
So I'd feel fine for like an hour. So we'd be over there having a fucking good old time, but all of a sudden I'd be like, oh fuck, we gotta go.
It's time to go.
Yeah. I don't like it. It's not fun anymore.
Well, there we go. We got a John is the driver story.
Woo!
Going to Portillo's.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're like, nothing ever happens when I'm driving. What does that say? I don't know what that says about you, but what does that say about Danny? That all the shit that happens is whenever he's behind the wheel.
Even when it's my car. Even when it's my car. He'll run into someone's house or an identical fucking car.
The best story that John has about his car is one he's not even in it. Some dude just shows up and takes a shit in it. It has nothing to do with him driving or anything else. It's just him waking up in the morning, there's a pile of shit in his car for some reason.
I'll never forget that.
That's the only good story he has about his car. He's not
I wouldn't even say it's good. It's just...
It's good to us. Yeah. It's good.
There's nothing
we love the shit out of it.
There's nothing like being asleep and trying to comprehend. Dude, did you shit in my car?
Like, what? Why are you asking me this? Wait, did someone shit in your car? Why did you think it was me?
I bet when he called me and asked that, he probably had to repeat it like 8 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand. What do you mean?
As I'm driving down the alley to Sonic.
I just love the fact that your thoughts in your head were like,
this fucking
Danny was messed up enough that he probably shit in my fucking car.
I probably wasn't the first person he called, sadly. But.
Actually, I think you were, but just because you're always my first call. But in my defense, Danny, at least when I lived at that house, 90% of the time that fool used the bathroom, it was in my front yard. So I thought it could have been habitual, you know?
He was just like, I need to sit down while I do it this time. Let me shove my ass through John's passenger window and drop one deuce on his seat.
Yeah, did they open the door or did they just stick it in the window? That's kind of
that's
good question.
Because you said it wasn't like smashed down or anything, like someone sat and took a shit. They like squatted over it.
Right.
The easiest way to do that would have just been stick your ass through the window and drop the deuce right down.
Unless they pooped somewhere else and had to get rid of the evidence. It in there.
See, now that's getting nefarious right there. No wonder the next question to Danny would have been like, "Can you come investigate this shit on my seat?
Come get fingerprints.
Get your kit.
See if you got some hairs or something in there."
That motherfucker had corn.
Who had corn last night?
Who do we know had corn? You were eating that corn cob, motherfucker.
God, that was so funny. That poor house. But in my defense, sitting on the couch, the front door was like 12 feet away.
Yeah.
And it was dark, faced an alley. It wasn't like a major thoroughfare.
Couple trees in there.
So if we're in the middle of a video game, or back then a TV show that you couldn't pause, it was a lot quicker to run right the fuck out and pee in the driveway than it was to go to the bathroom, because the bathroom was way on the other side of the house.
And it's
That's
funny.
a good defense.
I always had weeds in this yard, except for the half circle around that tree in the front yard.
I'll tell you that.
And in my defense, I was far from the only one.
Right.
Yeah, you weren't the only one who did it. I'll tell you that's one of the nice things about being a male is I enjoy pissing outdoors too. It's nice to just be like, fuck this, I don't want to walk all the way back in the house. I can just piss right here behind the tree real quick.
You never realize how cold it is,
I do it in my house too. I hope my wife isn't listening right now because I'm getting a text, but I piss outside.
You do what?
She's like, where? God damn it.
Can't tell you where I mark my spots.
Right? You can just walk around and see them.
Just run right out the back door and hurry up and get right back to the movie.
When another guy walks up to the house and smells it, he'd be like, oh, this is some guy's house, and walk away.
Walk away. So mark our territory.
What's really funny is when you'll be sitting there just whizzing in the backyard and look down and the dog's like, shit, this is a good spot. I'll go with you. It's like a camaraderie thing.
It's a bonding moment. Man's best friend. Pissing companion.
What's up, Jason? I think you're tuning in about the wrong time.
Yeah. Or the absolute right time.
One or the other.
I'm sure he's done it.
Either or.
Maybe.
It might, maybe even in my house.
It's possible. Has he ever? Yeah, he's been here.
Hmm?
Yeah.
During mass drinking.
That usually causes urination. Yeah, yard urination.
I feel like now after this conversation, everyone who comes to Danny's house has to go out and piss in the backyard just to,
I think it needs to be a thing.
I feel like everybody has.
It has to be. I haven't pissed in your backyard.
I actually haven't yet.
I wish you would, so you wouldn't break my goddamn toilet.
Right?
Good point. This fool slams the toilet seat down every time.
Toilet seat, man. Hate that shit.
Yeah, Danny's got a normal toilet seat. So
yeah,
fuck that shit.
Fucking these goddamn cheap bastards, man. Get some quality stuff.
Wait, would this be toilet humor?
This
that we're
would
doing
be
right now?
toilet humor.
Okay.
We had a friend that would, we'd be out drinking, standing in a circle around the fire or whatever, and he wouldn't, like, even walk away.
Don't tell me he pissed in the fire.
Or just standing there. You'd be in mid-conversation, and right looking at your face, he'd just take it out and start going.
And one time, someone told him, dude, turn around. And he said, okay. And he 360 pissed until he was done.
Yeah.
He was just doing a pirouette.
Nice.
And never stopped his story. He's like, so the other day I was at Walmart, and he just goes out and, does business.
Why interrupt the conversation, man?
That's the time that your car was claimed, wasn't it? By Yummy?
Oh, yeah. As a country,
yeah.
I believe.
It's like you see those gaming chairs or movie recliners that have the little built-in bathrooms in them, because you don't want to get up and miss nothing.
That's
this
also
is true.
Yeah.
But you can't pause a raid.
No,
you cannot pause a raid.
You cannot pause a raid. That should be on a fucking t-shirt. You can't pause a raid.
That's the night that I was driving my wife's car, and unbeknownst to us, a couple of cans of beer had rolled under the driver's seat, and it was a black car. So the next day or whenever it was, they exploded while she was going down the road. Scared her so bad she damn near wrecked. And since it was underneath where there was it was just foam, no material, it soaked into that foam and it smelled horrible. The whole rest of the time we had that car. We never got that smell.
Never got that. That's crazy.
Every time it would get hot, it would smell like the back of a bathroom at a bar or something.
Another little segue that can't pause a raid, there's a new video game that I'm playing. It's called State of Decay 2.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You see that? It's a zombie game. And it's the zombie game that I've always wanted in my life. It's like really trying to survive the apocalypse.
Courtney was just telling me she was starting to play that game yesterday.
You start off with like a couple survivors, and it's
she
an open
didn't start
world.
Yesterday. She told me yesterday.
Okay.
You're in an open world, and like you find like a little house to start as your like starter base, and it has some bedrooms and shit, and there's space in the backyard where you can make a garden. Nice. You got to build an infirmary. You can make a little workshop. Yeah, so like you do all that shit, and you find other survivors, and you can like invite them to join your community, or if you want, you can kill them and take their shit. Like however you want to play this game. But one of the things about it is there's no fucking pause, because death is permanent. If any of your survivors die, they're gone. You can't get them back. There's no respawn. There's no coming back. So even if it's the most powerful, most skilled survivor you have, if they die, they're gone forever. And there's no fucking pause. You can't pause this game.
Wow.
If you're fucking, and this has happened to me, if your controller dies, it does not stop the game.
No
It'll put the little thing on the screen saying your
screen
controller.
pauses.
Yeah, it'll put the little thing on the screen saying, "Hey, your controller's dead." Press A to start back up or whatever. But every other game stops the game when that happens. There's no
you
pause
don't have
on
to
this.
log out if you have to take a piss.
You have to literally shut the game off if you need to step away from the screen. If you don't feel good enough about where you're at to step away, you got to turn the game off. Go take your piss, come back, and turn it back on. But you cannot pause because death is permanent.
I've logged out a while to take a leak. Because I've been in environments where
you're like, I can't
there's no real safe spot,
here.
and I don't want to go to a different zone, so I just log out, go to the bathroom, log back in.
That's what happens with this game. It's really crazy, but it's like that zombie game I've already wanted, because like you have to manage all your supplies. Like you have like main supplies like food, medicine, ammo, fuel, and every day you use certain amounts of that. Like you say you have 7 people, that's 7 things of food a day. So you got to constantly, you're out trying to find more supplies to keep everyone, surviving. And you have the aspect of like people will get pissed off and start fights with each other. Like your survivors will fight with each other, and it brings the morale down, which pisses everyone off, and everyone else will start fighting. And then sometimes you'll be like, this guy keeps instigating this shit. Fuck this, you're out. I'm kicking you out of the group.
The Sims Undead Edition.
Yeah, it's like that. It's fucking crazy as hell, but it's a really good game. But yeah, that you can't pause it. There's no pausing at all in that game. And I was in the middle of a fight, and my fucking controller died, and I almost lost one of my main guys because of that. But yeah, the death is permanent, and the best story that I have so far about that permanent death is my friend RJ. You've met him. He was playing. And his doctor, you can get sick from the zombies and you'll contract the plague, and then you have to cure it. His doctor got sick because he was out fighting too many zombies, and so he walks up to one of his other characters. He goes up to his doctor to cure him, and he's talking to him. There's all the options. Instead of clicking on the cure, he accidentally hits euthanize. His character goes, "I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you." Pulls the fucking pistol and shoots his doctor in the head.
Oh, shit.
He killed his own fucking doctor. So now he has no medical guys, nobody who knows medicine, and he's trying to play his
Apparently
game.
some guy knows how to euthanize.
Yeah, he's like, I can't fucking heal nobody because my fucking doctor's dead. I'm like, well, you're the one who shot him, dude.
Why is that an option?
Yeah, he's like, well, why is that? Yeah, but yeah, like whenever someone gets like sick, you can choose to you can exile them, you can euthanize them, or if you have a cure, which you have to like go get a bunch of stuff to make the cure, you can cure them.
Right.
But yeah, he was in a hurry trying to get out the menu, and he hit euthanize and fucking shot him in the head. But yeah, it's a crazy game. The permanent death makes it crazy because every time you get into the zombies get around you, you're like, I might lose this guy. Like, fuck.
Not Coors Light, but
Coors Light,
Half.
yeah.
What Coors Light should taste like?
Yes.
And it's like $11 for a 24-pack.
Fucking Coors Half.
There we go.
That's great.
You don't have to finish it. I just want...
Fuck, I am now.
Okay,
Right?
That's
I'm
my
fine
beer.
with that.
Yeah. Put my lips to it.
Talks about
I'm not
how
gonna
horrible it
waste
is.
the whole fucking beer, whether it's shitty or not.
This is disgusting. The fuck you're taking it away from me? It's my warm beer, goddammit.
It's my fucking piss hot Coors Half.
I just love, like, out of all the people you're asking, is it a warm beer? You should already know the answer by who it's coming from.
Fucking John
Well, the
Stewart.
good thing is it's not really warm because it's like 74 degrees in here right
Yeah.
now, so
It's
just not cold.
room temperature.
But the mountains aren't.
You touch it
blue.
to your face, you'll feel cool.
No, they start
It's,
blue.
it's different than just normal.
They start blue
Yeah,
because
they're
it's,
permanently
it's,
blue.
it's cheaper than white paint.
Blue
Right.
ink.
All this probably would have been okay on the podcast.
That's recorded.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
You're on the podcast. You
Hello,
haven't clapped in
Americans.
yet if you want to, but
We are here.
He's back.
That was a weak fucking
Brian's
song.
voice is
Because
basically
I'm
the
not
same
gonna
as the
probably
clap.
not gonna edit it out.
Huh?
I didn't want it to be able to so loud as pop to people
Yeah,
here wearing
but you
headphones.
You gotta go full throttle.
Man, it
Whether
ain't
you
that
edit
go
it
big or go
not,
home
don't bring
thing.
that weak shit here.
Don't, yeah, get that weak shit out of here.
Not in my house.
This isn't your house.
That's a good point.
Not in Danny's house.
You're right. I haven't pissed in the backyard yet. So
Exactly.
My house.
Got to mark that territory. Speaking of which, Brian, you got to piss in the backyard.
You missed the whole pissing conversation.
Give me
Have you pissed in his backyard yet?
give me about 20 minutes to finish this Coors Half, and I'll fucking make it happen.
I don't get Coors flavor out of this at all.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, this reminds me, like the first sip took me back to 5 years old when my dad was mowing the
Damn.
lawn and he sent me inside to go fucking get him a beer, and I'm like,
I'm gonna open. I opened it for
open it
you.
for you.
I'm helping you out, Dad.
Hooking you up. Absolutely.
Half the
Light
beer's
beer.
gone.
That's funny.
Apparently, it's
He
smooth
knew
and
what was
refreshing.
up. He knew what kind of kid he was raising.
Yeah.
They
Coolidge.
I can't do the Coors thing, man.
You don't taste Coors in there?
Mm-mm.
Maybe it might. It's a shitty brand, so they might have different batches.
Yeah, just because my can
Just
tastes
'cause,
like
yeah,
it
yours
doesn't
doesn't. Like, you got the Coors can,
But
you got the Miller.
Mine's a
can.
night shift. Mine's fucking Coors fan.
The party guys.
The
Yeah.
picture on the can does kind of hint towards Coors,
Yeah.
though.
It does. But the name would have to have mountains or something on it.
Yeah,
Rockdale Light.
it could have just been made.
Which
with
is funny
rocks.
because they don't make Rockdale.
Yeah, there's no
With the
heavy.
non-white.
Oh, it's made in Wisconsin.
Is it? That's what I was looking for.
Brewed and bottled by Rockdale Brewing Company, La Crosse, Wisconsin. I know a racer from La Crosse.
What's funny is it's probably some regular brand name fucking beer that's like the
Repackaged.
end of the tank they put in these cans.
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
You know, that's why it
Oh,
kind
you
of
were gonna
tastes like
throw that
Coors.
away? Fuck that.
Yeah.
How they're always like,
Put that in our shit.
Was it like Dr. Pepper and Mr. Pibb are made in the same
Right.
factory? They taste exactly the same, but like last week's batch of Dr. Pepper wasn't that great. Throw those in
This
the
is-
Pibb cans.
This
Yeah.
is the mystery flavor dum dum right
That's
here.
what it
this is. Well, you know that's what they do, right? When they change flavors of the dum dum lollipops, that's
No.
what the mystery flavor is.
It's just a mix in between two flavors.
The mixed up flavors, like when they're switching from
switching
cherry
strawberry
to
to-
pineapple or whatever. That's the
Until it gets
transition.
full pineapple or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still
So
some.
somebody went, let's stop throwing this away.
Hey, we're losing
Right.
money here, guys.
Yeah, we're throwing
Instead-
out
yeah.
instead of throwing out this syrup that's in the tube, let it mix with the other
it's
one. And we'll call it
fucking
mystery.
edible. Just fucking market it.
Instead of throwing it away, let's charge extra for it.
Right.
There's a
That's
sucker
fucking
born every minute.
That's awesome.
Ah, gotcha.
I gotta remind people that on a daily basis on various things, not just like customers, but why can somebody do this? No, I'm not
You're paying me
I'm
to
not
do
talking
this?
about my
By the way, customers, you guys are fucking
I hope your
morons.
customers are listening.
not my
Right?
customers. Let me
Look
clarify
at this
that.
back. Look at the back step in here.
But what I'm getting at is like in the world when people's like, how can somebody do this? Like you gotta fucking remember that there's a sucker born every like why would somebody pay fucking that much for fucking a car, or that much for a house, or that much for a fucking hair. It's like, there's a sucker born every minute, and there's fucking businesses out there that fucking prey on that.
Yeah.
And they might not catch as many fish as the next guy, but when they do, they're fucking whoppers, And that's the fucking...
Well, that's the thing. You don't have to.
It only takes one.
When you're trying to get somebody on something like that, something way overpriced, you don't have to get 1 million customers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You only got to get the 100 customers because it's going to make up for it.
Because
shit's so overpriced.
Are a lot of minutes in the day, and what happens every minute? A sucker is born.
I thought it was every day.
Especially customers. Yeah, it went from every day to every minute now.
Depends on what time of year.
Oh, yeah.
This is a summer solstice thing.
And Valentine's Day equates in.
Yeah.
Oh, just the start of that, though. And customers. Like, you're a businessman, bro.
I have to remind customers that every day.
You said that. I got to remind customers every day.
Yeah. When somebody buys shit from you, don't just start giggling like mad. I can't believe they paid it!
Oh, wow.
Idiots. I told you he was dumb enough!
Sometimes the thoughts come out before they're formulated
I'm
correctly.
selling these guys fancy dirt that I'm just throwing on their fields, and they're paying me for it.
And well.
And well. Like...
You want some of my dirt? Okay.
My
I'll sell you
customers are
some of my
awesome.
dirt.
For the record, my customers are awesome and very smart people.
Because they buy from him.
Yes. That's a qualifier.
The funny thing is, the true story of that is...
Yeah, you're so smart, honey, you married me.
The true story of that is they're probably some of the smartest people around, sadly. They're mostly like... I mean, the farmers, it's not too often you talk to a farmer and went, fuck, that guy sounds like an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every so often you're like, you were born into it. You inherited this shit.
This was your granddaddy's
and
work,
you're just
right?
managing to not go broke.
Yeah,
quickly.
occasionally. But for
Like
the
you're
most
going
part...
broke, but just not fast.
Not fast. You got enough that maybe your kid will be
Your
the one.
kid might have. There might
yeah.
be something left when they fucking take over the reins, but no, yes, most farmers out there, you're like, damn, that's a smart dude.
Yeah.
And I tell people that all the time, like when they talk about these corporate farmers, blah blah. I was like, there's like a very small number that are corporate farmers. What there are is a lot of big farms that are owned by families.
Right.
Mm.
And the thing of it is like the big farmers. They're just big because they're good at what they fucking do.
Right.
Just like any fucking businessman. Like, farms are businesses, too. Like,
Yep. They're not big because idiots ran them.
If you watch your fucking pennies and you fucking don't piss away all your fucking profits on fucking new cars and fucking, boats and shit, you're going to build something. And, the big farmers are the ones that buckle down. And, I mean, a lot of times, these farmers are they will be like the richest people but you don't realize it.
Yeah.
Because they're driving around in a car or truck that's shittier than yours and a fucking humble house and,
And they got to be giant because they waited till the idiot next door screwed his farm up and then bought it.
Exactly.
Even though this guy couldn't figure out how to make a profit, he turned it into a gold mine and bought it for
When their fucking neighbors
nothing.
screw up, you fucking pounce on that shit and you keep rolling and you just... That's the thing. Farms don't make big money per acre. And that's why good farmers are always trying to grow, get more acreage, because they realize that the profit margins are slim, so if you have a lot of acres,
That's more money.
there's more money. But then again, on the flip side of that, there's a lot of risk involved, and so if you lose a little bit per acre, you just lost a whole shitload of money. And so that's why, who was I telling this to? I think it was even my sister, who was in the farming, industry, at the crop duster or whatever, but I was explaining to her, it's like, you got to remember, like, farmers don't make big whacks, they don't, make tons of money
$100 on a bale of
but
hay.
it's the good ones know that, the good farmers realize, it's slim profit margins, but over a large acreage amount, then you have a decent little fucking, payday at the end of the year.
Quantity has a quality all of its own.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I hope that I need some. I was about to reach in your cookie bag.
He already did.
Yeah.
Like, cookies and beer doesn't go for this. I gotta have
There's
savory.
one cookie's left.
Oh,
Yeah, you get enough
one
pebbles.
cookies.
You get enough pebbles, you have a sandbox.
Maybe I'm just convincing myself it doesn't taste like Coors, so I'll drink it.
Maybe. That's possible.
Are you like anti-Coors or what?
Oh, yeah, that shit's gross.
I am too.
I mean, I'm not anti-Coors. Coors Light sucks. It's just, I mean, it doesn't suck. It's just pointless. It's like I can drink water for free. Why would I pay to drink water?
I bet you he buys bottled water.
That's a good point.
I do, but I refill it. I do because
that's the sucker born every day situation over there.
no, but we have a Brita thing in our house that I mean, I'll get a month or two out of a case of water. I mean,
Decent daddy.
Not mine.
That's hilarious. That was perfect timing.
Yeah, speaking
I
of...
bet you buy water. Well, I do, but...
That's different, though.
Yeah. I don't buy it like you buy it.
But
dummy.
Speaking of daddy, we've got a quote-unquote holiday coming up. And I'm wondering Father's Day.
Is it an official holiday?
No.
I
mean, you don't get paid for it.
Do banks take it off?
Nope.
No.
Well, technically, because it's on a Sunday.
Then it's just a day.
This is true. But what is...
So you tell your wife that about Mother's Day?
Nope.
That's what I fucking thought.
So what is Father's Day to you guys?
I think back when I was a kid, we had a pretty good family tradition, but it kind of died with the generation above me. Is on Mother's Day and Father's Day, it was the exact same thing, just opposite. The whole family would get together, and basically, if I can cater to the fathers or cater to the mothers, and I thought it was always pretty cool, but it kind of died with our family with that generation. Now we just go to a fucking restaurant.
I love how on Mother's Day it's all about giving the mom a break. We take them out to eat, and then on Father's Day, we get to barbecue.
Right.
It's like we're getting the shit under the stick here on this one, guys. But whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah, like for me,
because for Father's Day we're gonna barbecue with my family.
Right.
Like I always think of it as it's our day off. We're a father the whole year. This is your day that is you. So.
But is it? That's what Brian's just saying. It's not like our day off. Like, because I remember Mother's Day when I was younger, my mom would always be like, "It's Mother's Day. The only thing I want from you guys is not fucking bother me. I don't want to hear. Yep. I don't want to hear anybody say mom to me all day today. Just go on the other side of the house.
If I want to sit in the recliner and play video games all day, scratching my balls, that's my day.
Yeah, whenever it was, she'd pretend I'm not here. It was her Mother's Day. And then when it was Father's Day for my dad, it was like, here's your card in the morning, Dad, Father's Day. And then the rest of the day it was like any other fucking day. There was nothing different about it. Right. Like, he'd get a card in the morning that we bought at Safeway the night before, and that was it. Like,
although, to be honest, I'm not going to fucking bitch. I mean, any excuse to get the family together and hang out is...
I totally agree. There's never...
I don't mind, like, let me make that clear. I don't mind barbecuing for the family or whatever. It's still, whatever excuse...
It's a slippery slope having this conversation here with you.
Whatever
it's like, I gotta be in the middle of the road here.
No, I don't want to... I was joking earlier, but like any excuse to have
Mother's Day.
any excuse to have the family over is good days.
I totally agree. I probably get my family together more than a lot of families do, but there's never a bad time.
Yeah, like we have a Father's Day tradition now in my family. Like on Father's Day morning, we all go to my parents' house, and it's not just family, but also like family and friends of family show up for a Father's Day breakfast. Just kind of, and everyone gets together, and it's just like, pancakes and bacon and just, shit. Everyone's just kind of
ambitious to be
kind of just hanging out for Father's Day breakfast.
Sunday.
Yeah, early on Sunday. It's around 10 o'clock.
If it's a holiday for me and I'm choosing, don't fucking wake me up early.
But yeah,
don't make it a breakfast. Make it a brunch.
It's Father's Day breakfast.
It's
and then,
trendy.
Then you can. Well, it's because then that way the rest of the day, if families do have something, they have the rest of the day to do it with their families, as opposed to everybody getting together. But
that's one thing my family's always done, since everybody has their own families now. Mm-hmm. We almost always move our holidays. Like
because your kids are old already.
We do though.
Have your firstborn when you're 12.
We had our mother. We had our Mother's Day this year on Saturday, so that we didn't fuck with all the kids' other going into their fucking other families and shit.
Right. Well, because that's for you guys now. It's not Father's Day for anymore. It's Grandfather's Day. Yeah, so they gotta work in Grandfather's Day, and then we can go have Father's Day with the daddies.
And then same thing like Christmas and shit.
I was gonna say that sounds the same like with people are doing for Christmas now.
Well, fucking our Christmas is all over the place.
So my Thanksgiving is usually on a Sunday.
We have like 5 fucking Christmases now. We got like a Christmas Eve morning, a Christmas Eve night theme with a different part of the family, a Christmas morning, then a Christmas afternoon, and then a Christmas Eve with another part of the family. It's like 5 different Christmases.
Like, is your wife's family around here or no?
Mm-hmm.
They are?
Yeah, she has some family.
Mine and my wife's family are both here.
And sizable.
So it's like, we've got the Schultz family, the Cockrell family, the stuff we're going to do at our house and where we're going to be. It's,
Yeah, because it's like Christmas Eve, we have like the Bagnall family. That's all of them getting together. You know, all the 5 brothers, Dennis and Thomas and all of them. Then we have the whole Bagnall family Christmas, and then Christmas morning is like my little nuclear family's Christmas, you know, and then Christmas afternoon, it's my wife's family's Christmas up in Glendale, and so it's like all these different Christmases shoved into these 2 days, but it's just like all over the place.
And so with me and Misty both always working shift work, another thing that always came into it is like, look, I could take the holiday off to be with you guys, or we could move that shit till Sunday, and I can get paid a lot of extra money for working on Christmas.
So we're going Christmas,
Right.
get
You know
that
what I
time and a half or double time.
And now Misty's the same thing. I mean, she works for Banner, and they don't treat you poorly on holiday, so...
Oh, yeah.
See, I've got a different dynamic than you guys. Mine and Helen's family are, at least until the recent past, what lived in our house. So it's not like
So it was
a
just
family
you had no
get-together.
extended family, yeah.
It was just
Not-
the
not in
nuclear.
Arizona.
You weren't having to do all the...
So Helen would just
Everybody else's
take
thing.
me to dinner for Father's Day, like out to Longhorn or
Like, fuck
Outback
the
or
rest,
whatever.
take me.
Yeah.
This is about John.
Right. My wife's pretty good about that. Like for my birthday and for like Father's Day and stuff, it's like, you know, she'll wrangle the kids for the day, so I'm not having to like constantly change diapers. Or I mean, the kids still come to me like, Dad, can I get this? Dad, can I get that? And she'll be like, No, I'll get it.
Like,
You
shut
stay
the hell
there."
up. You get away from me.
She'll like,
I
"You
don't
stay
exist.
there."
Get out of my face.
Yeah, she's like, no, you stay on the couch. I'll get it. And then like when it's lunchtime, she's like, what do you want for lunch? I'll go anywhere you want and bring you back some lunch. What are you feeling? And
I want some
stuff like
In-N-Out.
that. Yeah,
We're in the
and
Grand.
she did that on my birthday, which was a couple weeks ago. She's like, hey, I'll go to Casa Grande for whatever you want. I'm like, I'm in the mood for some pandas. So she went over and got me Panda Express.
You
Nice.
can't get in and
So-
out on Father's Day.
So she'll do
Sunday. Aren't they closed on Sunday?
I don't know.
only Chick-fil-A's closed on Sunday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
That's across the street.
But so she'll do things like that, and so it'll be the same thing on Father's Day. Like, you know, I'll get my card from the kids, and then for the day, if I want to be, you know, left alone, she'll try to, you know, keep the kids away and do whatever, you know, I'm in the mood for and stuff.
So basically,
Whatever
you're
you're
playing
in the
video
mood
games
for.
like usual.
No,
just without the
because
distraction.
I
Yeah.
know if I do that though, she'll still kind of be like, "You just want to play video games all day and not spend any time with the family." So no, I'll spend the time with the family anyway. So I still don't do what I want to do.
You'll squeeze in some games. You'll squeeze in some games.
I'll play some games with her.
We were just having somebody talk about... I don't remember who the hell was telling us that story. I think it was while we were in Texas. Somebody was talking about how on Mother's Day, the mother of the family for Mother's Day wanted to be left the fuck alone so that she could sleep.
Oh, who was that?
I don't remember who it was, but yeah, they were basically saying like for Mother's Day she wanted to be left the fuck alone, so he had to
I
get
think
the
that.
kids.
Oh no, that's Chase's wife, Erin.
Oh, that's right. He said they had him collect the
Well,
kids.
they
and-
got a newborn. Well,
Right.
not a newborn, but you know,
fairly young kid.
6 month older.
So she was like, just get the kid and get out of the house for the day. Let me rest.
And she slept for like 12 hours.
Yeah, she
or
wanted
something
to.
Like that.
She wanted to spend Mother's Day by getting the fuck away from all the children. And I was like, shit, that's a good plan, right
That's
there.
what my wife one year she wanted for Christmas. She's like, for her birthday.
For
She's like,
Christmas.
for Christmas, yeah.
I want you
for
guys to
Christmas,
leave.
good
That's my Christmas miracle.
For her birthday, she's like, I just don't want. She's like, don't want anything. Like, I want to be left alone. So I ended up just getting her a hotel room by herself up in Scottsdale. But like,
Nice.
booked
By
massage,
herself.
booked a massage, all that shit, and the kid stayed home with me. And she went up and stayed for the night. She loved it so much she booked herself a second night.
Wow.
And so she
Oh!
stayed. So that's
This
what
is
she
this
did
Mother's
for
Day
her birthday.
weekend.
Keep
So
it going, baby.
For her
Keep it
birthday,
going.
she just
Let
went.
it
I got her a
ride.
really nice, hotel, and she got, a massage, and she laid out by the pool, and she just sat in the room and ate a pizza in the bed and ordered.
Which is
room
funny because they didn't
service.
have a massage service at the hotel.
No,
Yeah.
but she got one.
Yeah, it was weird.
But yeah, she, she's like, and
Our
then,
butts touch.
and then she sent the whole picture of the bed where she had like all these snacks on one side and like food on the other side. She's like, I'm
Like,
just sitting
here's
in bed.
where you would normally be.
Yeah, she's like,
And
I'm
it's
just sitting
food.
in bed watching TV. No one's bugging me, and I have all this food with me, and that's what
Did
she wanted
did
for
she
her
get
birthday.
some crocheting done?
Sounds kind of
No, this
amazing.
is before she started
Oh.
embroidering. But yeah, so she just chilled for like 2 days. She just took 2 days off from family and work and everything, and just hung out by herself. And she
We
loved
can
the
all
shit out
use
of it.
those days down there.
Right? Like,
Everybody.
I was like, you know what? I could be down for that. Just send me away.
It ain't got nothing to do with whether or not you love your kids or not. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody needs some fucking.
It doesn't say whether you love your
reboot.
family. It doesn't say anything about whether you love spending time with your wife or your kids or anything like that. It's just everyone can
Got nothing to do with that.
Everyone can use a day off.
One of my favorite things is sending Helen off with Amanda when they do their Thelma and Louise trip.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I want to get rid of her, but I know she needs.
That's the thing why when I was
separation.
younger, all the male family members that I had were all hunters. Because when hunting season came, they got to have like that weekend where they could get away from everything. And they didn't even do that much hunting. They were just sitting around a campfire most of the time.
See, we don't even do that.
Whiskey and fucking.
All the kids and shit come on our
Tell them
trips.
lots of lies.
I think our wives should collectively get together for next Father's Day. Fund us a trip to Vegas. There's 4 of us. Pack up the equipment. Do a podcast recording while we're there. Do some filming on the streets. Just hang out.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
And what's on the streets?
And don't skimp either. We don't want the fucking
Off the strip thing. We want him to get grand
6.
or.
We're talking Caesar's Palace,
Like,
Bellagio.
I wanna be
Bellagio,
in-
damn.
be in the
Don't want to be like
Excalibur.
staying at like Bill's beds and slot machines.
We couldn't afford to walk into the Bellagio to look around.
He's like, give me a room at the
Yeah, but that
giant
was a long
pyramid
time ago.
thing.
There's a lot better than the Bellagio now. It's basically
Okay.
mediocre. At
Oh,
this
damn.
point. That's sad too. Is like we went to Vegas. I bet you the first time we saw the Bellagio, it was probably 2 weeks old,
Yeah.
and it was mind-boggling, amazing. Now it's literally mediocre.
That's nuts.
I mean, there's a lot that's better than the Bellagio in
Oh, yeah.
Vegas now. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, it's not. It didn't drop down. Everything that
Right,
was below
just
it's
better.
still below it, but there's a lot better. It's crazy.
Okay.
How are they doing in the finals? Stanley Cup. Some bitch fucking
Vegas has a hockey team?
expansion team going to the NHL finals.
In the
Yeah.
very
Really?
first year.
Yeah.
The very first
The
year.
Golden Knights.
The Golden Knights. This is their first year. They're in the Stanley Cup.
Holy
right now.
cow. It's
Fucking
that mob money,
There's
man.
still hockey.
There's still hockey.
I'm guessing that hockey doesn't have the salary cap necessarily.
I don't know.
No,
I
they do.
couldn't
But, you
name
know-
another hockey team
Yeah, my
outside
phone's
of
stupid.
Arizona,
But
other
you
than
know,
the Golden
the,
Knights, because I learned that about 26 seconds ago.
You know, I mean, when you get an expansion team, though, you have that advantage because you get through the expansion draft.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you get crap.
No, in the,
Man, the
in
Panthers and Jaguars sucked.
yeah, but it
for
depends
so
on.
long.
It depends on. Look, in the NHL, you get to get I think 2 guys from every single team,
Okay.
and they're
You
only
get to
allowed.
steal their players?
Yeah, and they're only allowed to protect 8 players. And if any of the players has a no trade contract, you have to protect that guy no matter what, whether you want to or not.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, wow.
So anybody outside of those 8 guys on your team, they get to pull. So I mean, if you just got some of the good, like some good new young talent through the draft, or you have some good prospects coming up, or some older veterans that you can't protect,
Or
they can snag that shit.
Or a
And they
team
put
accidentally got too many shitty second rounders
bad
with
contract,
no fucking
yeah,
trade.
exactly, or something, and then you get to snag that up. So I mean, they got to put together a team just by scooping off. I mean, you're not going to get the star players off of a team,
So
but
it's
I
not
mean,
quite the dream
you're getting
team, but
number.
they get fucking
You're getting
good
number.
players.
Yeah, you're getting like
It's
you know,
the
like
dream
their
team's
like their
practice
yeah,
squad.
you're getting like
Right.
their 5th or 6th, and when you put a whole team together of those guys. Collectively, they're better than a team who has like 1 or 2 stars and then mediocre guys the rest of the way. You know.
But theoretically, you take even like the number 5 and 6 guy from every team, you're going to end up with the same team as another team, except for they still have
I
their
don't know,
top
man.
5.
A lot of times when you get those 5 and 6 guys together, the egos.
I mean, if there's
They
chemistry
get a
and stuff
chance
like
at the
that.
line.
Yeah,
and
and a
all
lot
of
of
a
it
sudden they
too.
just congeal and
Exactly,
turn
yeah.
badass.
And
And
a
you
lot
might
of
have
it, too-
those superstar Dak Prescotts that are sitting there that just didn't get the opportunity because
They're not
there's some
exactly,
guy
and
that's
that's the thing too, because like you have the guys that you have guys that are really good that just maybe aren't getting their shot,
Right.
or they're not being played in the right
Like
position.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, and then it's also like I said, it's who the
Janine
team's going to
Garoppolo.
protect. You're going to protect like your 2 best
I
stars,
didn't know she played hockey.
and then you're also
It
going
was-
to
it
protect.
was during
like,
a dark
your-
time.
You're going to protect your prospects.
Am I the only one that had a crush on her?
No.
No.
Oh,
no.
Fuck no.
Hell no.
I would hit that
Mystery Man.
hard.
Yeah,
Her
but
and
you're also
Seinfeld
going to
chick.
protect your prospects.
Mhm.
So there's going to
Together.
be opportunities to get good guys here and there, and they put together a team that's in their very first year. They're in the Stanley Cup.
That's nuts.
I think Kel literally brings Pringles just for Brian.
I think so.
Are these yours?
We've had this conversation. You know,
They're the shows.
When I as soon as first after the
Can you
Coors
get a word
half
out?
after the Coors half taste wore off, I'm like, I need some food with this. You know what I mean? Because I was hungry.
That's why I was hoping for tacos.
Yeah.
Tell you, we got to start pitching in a couple of bucks.
I'm absolutely down.
Podcast.
I'll pay right now.
It wouldn't happen today anyway because nobody was here to cook them.
I'd settle for ramen.
That I probably have plenty of.
I actually love ramen.
Me too.
Ramen.
It's
I could be loaded and I'd still eat that shit. I love ramen.
What? Really?
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
It's one of those things that you're just surprised by just how simple but delicious it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tweak it. You can put like meat or egg or whatever in it. And
Tweak it?
yeah.
And you can get a little fancy with it. Throw some shit in there while it's cooking. I know. There's
Take
been
the
some
juice
times
out and
when-
add a little sour cream. Make it like a creamy noodle
There's
thing.
been some times when I've chopped up
That
like
sounds
some
a little gross,
random ass.
honestly.
That does sound nasty. I chopped up like some random ass vegetables I had in the fridge
Someone's
and
gonna
tossed them
try
in
it.
there and let them like cook up like it's a little stewy soup kind of thing.
Stewie soup.
Sounds like
Stewie
something
soup.
Family Guy would do.
Right?
Dude, I love the shit out of some top ramen. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie.
It is. It's good. And I mean, for what, 30 cents a package? Yeah,
Does
Remember in high
flavor
school-
matter?
Hmm?
Does flavor matter?
Senior year.
Oh, yeah.
Ramen?
Really?
Oh, fuck
Fuck
yeah.
yeah.
Fuck
Wow.
yeah, it does.
I think it all
Usually.
tastes
What?
basically
Oriental
the
all
same.
day.
Really?
Oh, I
Oriental
love
and chicken is the only ones
I
I'll
love
eat.
the
I can't stand
Oriental.
the beef
You
one.
don't,
Wow.
beef. It's nasty.
Huge. I think
Yeah,
it's
the
gigantically
Wow.
different.
way different. The Oriental is like that's the only one I'll eat anymore is the Oriental. I'll have chicken every once in a while. I would have a chicken, but the Oriental.
And then they got like shrimp and shit. Like
Yeah,
that.
they got
That's-
Every time I think of ramen, I think of my high school year in Dobbins' class. They had a canned food drive, and he wanted to win real bad. And he basically told me, he's like, if you help us win this, I can pretty much guarantee you'll get an A in this class. I went down to Shope's and dropped like $60 on cases. We filled up the bed of my truck with ramen.
Wow.
I mean, because they had like a sale.
Back then it was probably 15 cents a pack.
It was
Right.
fucking cheap as shit. And I dropped like, I don't know, $60, $100 or something. I mean, I bought fucking like 10 fucking cases of fucking ramen. And of course, we like killed it. We blew them out of the water.
Pass your glass.
Schultz
Nice.
got him an
He's
A.
like, I don't know
Oh, yeah.
shit about fucking history, but I know about some fucking ramen.
Yes, sir.
I didn't. I mean,
You know, if you had a little Worcestershire sauce and a little bit of hot sauce, it tastes just like poverty.
I knew where you were going with that before you even went there. I'm like, it sounds like poverty.
and then they come up with the cup noodles so you can travel with it easier.
Right?
Making it work.
Yep. That's one of those things, man. Like back in the day, we ate a lot of shit when we were broke, and like, dude, we used to eat a lot of fucking bean burritos because they were so
yeah.
fucking cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stand fucking just regular ass homemade bean and cheese burritos now. Can't fucking eat them. Gross.
Oh, we used
Same,
to have
but
those.
with top ramen, I ate them just as much, and now I'll be like, God damn, I'd go for some top ramen right now.
I associate food with being poor too, and can't stand it. Except for I'm completely fine with ramen.
Yeah,
But,
I
like,
remember
goulash
shit, too,
or,
like when
chili
you would
mac,
be like,
I can't
what's for
stand
dinner
chili
tonight? Oh,
mac.
it's bean burritos, and it was just a freaking saucepan with some refried beans and maybe a little cheese thrown in there
yeah.
with it, and then a tortilla, and you just slapped it on there and
I
ate it. And
can't
that was
think of
dinner.
anything that I'm like, can't stand anymore.
My mom used to add macaroni to stuff to stretch it,
Mm-hmm.
and I always just wanted a can of chili. But no, it had to have fucking macaroni in it. So I can't stand chili mac to this
Chili
day just
mac?
because I associate it with
I remember
That
my
time
mom,
of my
we
life.
would get the pinto beans and just they throw like random shit like hot dogs and stuff, like chopped up hot dogs in there. And just with some pinto beans and some onions and some chopped up hot dogs.
That's
That'd be
another thing
dinner.
I've never been a fan of is using hot dog as a meat source for other foods. Dude,
Oh, yeah.
I love fucking hot dogs. I do not want them cut up and placed in anything else I eat.
yeah.
I do not want macaroni and cheese with little hunks of hot dog. I don't want fucking
What?
chili with
Man,
it.
that's
No,
like,
fuck
I
no.
love
Some
that.
scrambled eggs with a little hot
Yeah,
dog.
can I get that hot dog omelet?
Dude, I could eat hot dogs every fucking day.
Oh yes.
As
But
a hot
not
dog.
as a hot dog. You don't
Right.
want that as part of the meal prep.
No.
As part of your
No.
way
You
to
don't want
to
Don't
eat
cut
it.
that
no,
shit
no
up.
hot dog meatloaf.
Yeah. That's stretching it.
You want to change it? Put some corn around that motherfucker. Then we're good.
There
Have a
you
corn
go.
dog.
Yeah,
That's pretty
I
much
just
into
remember
that.
all that shit. I remember like not the SpaghettiOs, but when the Chef Boyardee they had the actual spaghetti.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
And-
yeah.
My mom would toss that in a frying pan on the oven, and she'd throw some bacon bits in there, and that'd be dinner because it had
Oh, wow.
something else different in it. It wasn't just the. But yeah, I remember shit like that, and like probably couldn't get my wife to touch any of the stuff that I grew up eating.
No, same thing. My wife.
Like if I tried to do that shit for dinner,
shit when it comes out. I'm not eating that. Right? Fuck, you're a grown adult. How are you gonna turn down food?
Right.
If you're hungry, you eat.
I thankfully am not a picky eater, but it's some of those stupid little things like that.
I'm nowhere near as bad as I used to be.
I cannot fucking stand
spam.
I like
in a can?
Spam
though.
But I actually prefer, like not everybody, but some people are like, oh, it's got to be fried spam. It's delicious. I prefer it just out of the can, sliced up.
I preferred it thrown across the fucking house and into the trash can. I can't stand that shit. I cannot stand the smell of it.
That video, how to eat avocado.
Spam ham and eggs.
Dude, I'm like,
just right in the can.
I cried when I saw that.
Yeah,
I love avocados. I'm like, what the fuck? Who doesn't
That was
like
$5
avocados?
they threw away.
Right?
Yeah,
that shit ain't cheap.
I could eat the fuck out of avocados by themselves.
Yeah.
All
I'll
day
like
long.
fucking like
Yeah.
drag my teeth on the fucking rind to get the last little bit out of there.
I'll take one, slice it in half, take the fucking pit out of it, and just put a little bit of fucking like Italian dressing right in the middle of it, and just eat it with a spoon.
Yeah.
I've never tried that.
I fucking love it.
I like it plain with a little bit of salt. It doesn't matter. So good.
Oh, that too.
Avocado is like, who doesn't like avocado? Really?
What?
I only just started eating avocados. I've never liked avocados,
Helen
but
can't.
lately I've just been having like
Helen's allergic to everything on the face of the earth.
Pretty much.
She's like, she can't have air.
Brent used to call her Monk.
We've been making like a lot of like street style tacos lately, and my wife like I'll be like, you just make it and I'll eat it. Like, I'm not gonna be picky about the ingredients. And she's been putting slices of avocado in, and I'm like, this is actually not bad. Before that, you couldn't get me to eat a fucking avocado, but now I'm like, no, it's not bad in this. I like this.
Do you have a food that like you used to hate, and all of a sudden you gave it a second try, and you're like, why have I missed out on this all my fucking
meatloaf?
life?
I hated meatloaf as a
Really?
kid. Hated it.
And now,
Hated it.
I would
Now
say
I'm like,
onions.
I'm like, Mom,
meatloaf!
where's the meatloaf?
Meatloaf, Ma! Some of it too though is when you're a kid, it depends on how shit's like made, literally how it's cooked.
Yeah.
Because there's some shit that I like as a kid. I was like, that's fucking disgusting as hell. But because whoever was making it didn't make a very good version of it.
Ooh,
Misty
and
makes
supreme
meatloaf all the
pizzas.
time, and she never like follows a recipe.
Peppers
or
and
anything.
onions, a supreme
Oh,
pizza.
peppers
I
and
used to
onions.
despise supreme
Okay,
pizza.
Oh, yeah.
so like I can have bell peppers and onions. Love it on a supreme pizza. Bell peppers and onions on almost anything else.
Philly
fajitas,
cheesesteak?
Philly cheesesteak.
Holy
None of
cow.
it. None of it. None of
Really?
it. I will not eat bell peppers and onions
But
on
on a
anything.
pizza-
but on a
on a
fucking pizza, I have to have it.
That's
I love
crazy.
supreme pizza.
Same
That's
way I
funny.
used to hate
I'm
supreme
fucking
pizza.
weird like
but
that.
now I'm like, yeah, throw everything, but as long as there's no onions on it, I'll eat everything on the fucking pizza now. Feel this garbage pizza.
The only two things really like in life that
I
I
used
just
to be pepperoni. The only
like,
thing I do with pepperoni.
I'm one of those that like if you put something down in front of me that I don't like, I'm gonna be like, this is gross. I'm gonna eat it all.
Yeah.
But
As much as I
I'm
possibly
gonna
can.
complain. I'm not the kind
Enough
that
so I
won't
can
eat
look like, oh, I'm
something.
full now.
Except for
that comes
Spam?
that comes from that poverty lifestyle.
Oh,
though.
absolutely.
You ate it. You ate it no matter what
Dude,
it was.
yeah.
You ate
Spam
it.
and
I
kiwi.
get thumped in the head. Unfortunately, I had to sit right next to my dad at the
Kiwi
dinner
sour
table. They'd be
strawberries.
like, eat your chicken nuggets. I'm full. Eat it.
You don't have to tell me to eat
You
chicken
just
nuggets.
ate
And
it.
now I have a
Like,
complex, and I've told my wife this.
Yeah.
Like now, like the rules in my house back in the day was, if mom made your plate, you didn't necessarily have to eat everything.
But if you made
But
your
if
plate,
you made your own plate, you're fucking
finishing
eating
that
every
shit.
fucking drop of that because you had a choice. And so now I'm like, fuck, if I order something, like I have to eat it all.
Yep.
And I just like gorge myself. And
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
like
the same
sick
way.
afterwards, but I'm like, I got this complex.
This
And-
hurts. Only
And I
3
pass it
more
on to my
bites.
kids, and my wife's like,
Right.
you're doing it to your kids.
Right.
It's like, you can just save the shit for later, Brian. There's a thing called leftovers.
You know how street tacos usually come with the 2 tortillas?
Mm-hmm.
What I do is I take the bottom one, slide it to the side, and then slide half of the taco onto it, so I have 2 little tacos. It makes me feel like I'm getting more food.
I thought the second one was for the droppings.
Maybe.
That's pretty much what it's for.
That's what
I was
I
gonna
do.
say
You're not supposed to eat
I don't-
2
you
tortillas
eat-
at the same
I don't
time.
drop enough.
You
I don't know.
eat over the second
Yeah, you pick
tortilla.
up the
Everything
first one.
drops
They
on and
know
you
their
pick it
shit's
up.
slimy.
And you
I don't-
have,
I don't
so they
drop
know
enough.
that you're gonna have a second taco. He just hoovers it all. That he doesn't fucking spill anything.
Hoovers it all.
That's what it is.
I guess you're being proactive with that situation. Cleaning, cutting it in half.
This is like what the fucking was that on The Office? Kevin on The Office was talking about his Big Mac thing, where you take one of the pieces of
Oh,
meat and
yeah.
one of the buns out of your Big Mac each time you buy one, and by the end of the week you have a free Big Mac.
Nice.
It's like you just take out one of the pieces of bun and one of the pieces of meat, and by the end of the week now you have a free Big Mac.
Oh, yeah. Consider they're 99 cents or whatever.
Big Macs are like $8.99.
Them shits is expensive.
Remember when
nowadays.
what
You're
is it?
thinking like 1994 Big
Well,
Macs.
isn't that when the show was on? How long?
The
how
Office?
long was
No. The Office is in the early 2000s.
Remember when was it
Big
the
Macs
quarter
were like
pounder
$2
came in the
there.
2-piece tray, the veggies on one side and
Yep.
meat on the other? I liked that.
The quarter pounder with cheese came that way too from McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the McDeluxe.
I don't remember what the fuck it was.
Remember?
It was-
Oh, what was that one that was? It had the weird bun, the Arch Deluxe. That was a good ass fucking sandwich
Yeah.
at McDonald's. That was when
That-
they first tried to do like a fancy.
That
like,
came out
sandwich
late
at McDonald's.
'96.
Yeah.
I always liked the deluxe anything
those
because
commercials
it came with
killed
real
me.
vegetables.
Yeah.
You could get a slice of tomato instead of some mush. That
When I
Yeah.
worked at
resembled
McDonald's,
tomato.
I'm like, you guys have this good shit here? Why don't you? Why?
It's not on
So,
any
like,
of the fucking burgers.
Yeah, when you make your own fucking, like
I loved
breakdown burgers,
McDonald's
like,
food when
you
I
make a
worked
cheeseburger
there.
with
Yeah.
like real tomatoes and
Yeah.
shit.
They got fucking like whole leaf lettuce back there, not the little like grinded up shit that is thrown
It's
on
like
the
the
Big
secret
Macs and
menu at In-N-Out
tomatoes.
Burger.
Yeah.
You're like, you can
McDonald's.
get a real tomato at
Yeah.
fucking McDonald's?
One of my
Yes.
favorite things to eat when I worked at McDonald's is between breakfast and lunch, I'd grab a biscuit and put a hamburger patty on it. Oh, that
Nice.
shit was awesome.
One I used to do is when the McRib would come back.
Yeah.
I'd make up the McRibs, and one of them I wouldn't throw in the sauce, and I'd put it on the bun with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise, and it was like having a pork sandwich.
Okay.
Like
It was
it was
good.
like a pork chop sandwich.
Pork-ish sandwich.
It was a pork chop sandwich, pretty
Dude,
much, and it was fucking
I
bomb.
love the McRib.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever ate one without getting sick. But fuck,
Right?
I love it.
Talking about making favorite things at work, when I worked at Sonic, take a chicken breast, chop it up, have it on the grill, throw some onions and some
That's too much
jalapenos, a little butter and salt and pepper, have them saute in, then make a grilled cheese
Well,
sandwich
not when
with
you're
Texas
working and
toast.
cooking anyway.
Throw that on there with a dab of honey mustard. Oh, that shit was so good.
I'd just be happy when you guys are working.
Fucking
at Sonic
Gordon
that you make
Ramsay
my
here.
order
I'm
right.
telling you, it was so good.
I literally had a deal with the manager at Sonic that I could eat anything I wanted for free as long as I cooked it myself and didn't bother them with it.
Oh, like
Like
when
you
you were a
didn't even,
cop?
you didn't even
Yeah.
work there.
Like
He
you'd
just-
walk in with
he'd
your
go back
uniform
there.
on?
Well,
Full uniform.
I didn't
Hey,
have to be
guys.
on duty, but you could literally pull up to Sonic and see me back there in uniform cooking a fucking hamburger.
It's like he's on a fucking hibachi grill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to do like.
Which
I
is
used
funny
to,
though, because whenever he would start making his burger, whoever was on the grill would be like, "You're taking over for a bit and go work a different station," and Danny would get
Yeah,
stuck
back
making
there
burgers.
I used to do like at McDonald's because you put the meat down and then you lower the press and it cooks it. But when I cooked my own, I cooked the patty like I was on a fucking grill. Cook one side, flip that bitch
it's
over,
always
a
better
little
that,
seasoning, flip it back over again. Like I took that extra time.
Speaking of Sonic, another good John got screwed by being in the passenger seat story.
Oh god,
Yes.
I hate the slushies.
I love red slushies from Sonic. And we were going somewhere one day, we pulled in there, and I had one in my hand as we were pulling onto the fucking road, and somebody cut me off, and I had to slam on the brakes, and when I did, I squeezed the fucking cup and put my thumb through it.
Sympathetic muscle
So
reaction.
instead of spilling it on me, I held it over his eye.
Oh shit, it's spilling!
All right.
Pretty much.
Oh, that was fucking
I'm like, you had a window the other direction.
Poor John. Especially that truck too. That was that little S10, man. And I saw John catch fire in the passenger seat of that truck twice.
Telling you all
It's
the
happened.
stories worth telling are when John's in the passenger seat,
And
man.
dude, the first time I saw him catch fire, we were launching bottle rockets out the window at people, and he lit his shirt on fire. And I looked over and saw it starting to flame up, and he's still looking out the window watching where the bottle rocket went. And it was to the point where it instantly hit me. It's so fucking funny. I couldn't tell him. I'm like choking, and I'm slapping him, and he's like, I know. Just dying laughing.
Hey.
And I'm like, you're fucking on fire.
Peg Gary's car dead on with that one, huh?
Shit.
He's like, I know, I hit it with the bottle. No, I'm fucking on fire.
I know, I'm killing it over here.
Oh shit.
That was good shit. That poor truck.
Good time.
He had a hard time.
Speaking of killing it, who's watching Battlebots?
Oh yeah.
You're
I'm
caught
not-
up, I'm caught up.
I'm not caught up, but I've watched the first couple.
I'm the
telling
only
you,
one who's
man.
not caught up.
Originally, I was worried when they come out with this new format.
Oh my god, it's such a good.
But
it
it's
flows
way better.
Oh my god!
Instead of having a bracket,
well, it's going to have a bracket.
1 seeds versus 16 seeds, and it's like a fucking shitty fucking match. You know, when it's badass fucking Tombstone.
They started out with the main event
every
being Tombstone and Minotaur.
Every fucking night, it's a fucking main event.
And there's less pageantry.
Yeah.
It's more fighting. I think they squeeze at least one more fight in per show. And it just feels like...
Cut out some of like the overt showmanship.
The 3-round rumbles and shit.
It flows so much better.
Like 6 at least.
6 fights, yeah. Depending on if you're catching the extra fight or not.
And they're all pretty good.
Yeah. I just watched episode 2. I thought it was funny because they named it something Rumble, and it was the only episode that didn't have a Rumble.
Amazingly, my 6-year-old daughter, she loves watching it with me.
Oh, that's so cool.
And she has come up with a fucking great way to pick who she wants, and more times than not, she wins.
Wow.
Her strategy is, which one's simpler?
Okay.
Which one's simpler? The blue or the red? Blue or the red? You know, it's always, never the names, it's always the blue or the red. And she's like, well, which one's simpler? And fucking more often than not, the simpler fucking bots are the ones that are fucking.
You know, they always tell you when you're building something, keep it with the kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Like, people overcomplicate shit. They're like, oh, this would be badass. And then what if it could do this? And then what if this arm could do this and this and this? And then something that's just a simple blade.
Just that fucking bot with a shitload of armor and like a flipper will fucking go in there and fuck your world up.
Last time we interviewed
the more
Ray,
shit you have, the more can go wrong.
Yeah.
Last time we interviewed Ray, we were talking about how strong the arena is. And he was saying that the sides will always hold up. The worst he could do is maybe accidentally take a hunk out of the floor.
Which he did in episode 1. Sorry about your floor.
That's so great.
And it wasn't like a little hunk either. He peeled that motherfucker.
He fucking curled it back. Yes.
The other bot gets fucking stuck on it too. It's like it was meant to.
He dug a pit trap.
Yeah. The arena hazards aren't good enough. I need to dig a trench.
It's because they don't have John controlling them.
Yeah. Did you see how tilted his blade was after that fight, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all rocking and rolling. Still held up.
He felt some fucking pain in that one. That was a heavyweight fucking battle.
There's been a couple of robots, though, that you're looking and you're like, fuck, he might actually have to fight a little this time. Yeah. There's going to be some competition.
Minotaur was my biggest concern. And he took some licks, but damn. Did you see the aftershots of Minotaur?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Fuck, I can't remember the names of them, but just at the end of the second one, that one fucking got, when it was it Yeti and...
yes, the other one. They were both, had the drum spinners.
Well, he cut them clean in half. Mm-hmm. Isn't that was it? And
the recreation was Hypershock was the victim.
There you go, yep, yeah.
Where the armor came off, and the guts were just flying across the arena. Battery packs and wires everywhere. It's a massacre.
Literally cut it clean in two. That was fucking awesome.
Which sucks because Will's going to be on at some point. Who's the driver of Hypershock?
Oh, on our show?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's a good story.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since seeing Kenny and the other announcer recreate the the carnage.
He grabs battery packs.
We gotta ask Farouk if he gets to write all of his own shit or if somebody's feeding him that stuff.
The fly Eagles fly. I was like, that is fucking awesome.
When he talked about the
Tom Brady
fans. Yeah.
I think it's funny too because you can tell. I don't know if he'd admit it or not, but you can tell when he has favorites because sometimes he'll give this 5-minute intro. And then it's Bill with his robot.
Bill, and his bot is there.
Yeah. They're from Cincinnati. Next. It totally just writes that motherfucker off. So I'm really curious if he gets to write all that shit or if somebody's feeding some of it to him. Because some of it's just corny as shit.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a combination.
Oh, yeah.
He has this is your script for this show, but then he can go off script for parts if he wants. If he thinks of something on the cuff, go with it.
It's pretty good, though. I definitely enjoy this.
There's only been 1 or 2 fights I was like, that was kind of lame.
And even those weren't as bad as some of the ones in the previous season.
I don't think you've seen it. I think it was last week where both weapons got disabled. Well, the one was like, bam, bam, boom, I'm going to win this fight. and then had to go in for that extra hit, and his weapon got taken out. So they just was a shoving match for 3 minutes.
The red one with the tracks that had the saw, and he like got his saw knocked off right away, and then the other guy, like I said, he went in for one more, and then his fucking
weapon,
his drum spinner went out,
failed.
And then they're just shoving each other around the rest of the fucking match. They weren't disabled to the point where they couldn't move.
And I think the tracks would have been on Red Devil would have been a lot more effective, but I think they're metal studded.
Yeah, they're
and
weird.
I think that caused them to slip. If they were rubber
metal
pads, I think they would have been better.
On sheet metal, basically. Yeah, it's
who was that one that I was fucking surprised as shit, and I was like, this guy's a fucking contender. Oh God, it was a new bot.
Yeah, that young kid.
That up-and-comer.
Basically.
Those New Zealand kids, they're killing it with, what is it, Endgame?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty good, well-designed bot.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that is going to be pretty good to see go against Tombstone, I think.
Definitely.
I think it's going to take one of those drum spinner bots to, like, really get it.
Or another really well-built blade spinner.
Yeah.
Well-built blade. That was not easy.
There was a new the battle royale that they had on this last episode, and
that's Science Channel. I missed that one.
Oh, you haven't seen
that fight?
They had a.
The battle royale was a Science Channel exclusive.
Oh.
And I watched it on Discovery.
It was like. Instead of one big bot, they had 3 smaller bots.
That was from the first or second episode, but yeah.
No, that was just this week, and they had the one that shot like a cannon.
Yeah, that was from the first or second show.
Maybe it's the second. It wasn't the first. Couldn't have been. I actually thought it was this week's. Anyways, but they were like 2 miniature.
You weren't watching the wrong season.
They were like.
Yeah, because I was disappointed that
There were 2 miniature tombstones, and then like a wedge bot.
I was disappointed that they put the one that we're going to bring 3 bots instead of 1.
Yeah.
In a battle royal. I'm like, come on, put them against a single bot and see if the 3 small bots really equate to better or not than a full size.
I don't know when it was, but it wasn't in the first or second one because I didn't see it, and that's all I've seen.
Really?
And that cannon bot, it's like, it really had it wasn't a well thought out because he didn't have much armor.
Yeah.
His whole main thing was that he had a cannon that shot like a 5-pound slug out.
I didn't even know they would have
did some damage when he actually did shoot him. It was like it's a one and done. Like he's got no other weapon after that.
They just got one gun.
Yeah, because I was about to say, how do you reload?
I could have swore that projectiles weren't allowed at all. I wonder if that's a new rule with this season.
I think so.
Didn't Ray tell us specifically that gun type projectiles weren't allowed at all?
I don't know,
right, and I think it might be pneumatic instead of firearm.
It's like shooting like a fucking slug like that, like solid steel.
Oh, I was about to say like shooting.
The one that I was really disappointed in.
Coors half, yeah.
Well, I don't remember the name of the bot, but the one that had the pincher that could deliver 10,000 pounds of crushing force and couldn't dent any fucking thing.
They really upsold all the force that this...
It looked like fucking Toucan Sam. It had a giant pointer and literally...
that bird thing.
Yeah, it would get a hold of the other fucking bot and you're like, God, this is going to be amazing. And it's all... Didn't even make a mark.
Harder!
Where's that 10,000 pounds of
push the button harder?
Literally, the announcer was like, he might have 10,000 pounds of crushing force, but he doesn't seem to be using any of it.
It's like the bot that has the saw out of one of the like Jaws of Life type.
Yeah.
Right.
Did they like super glue flint on that thing because all kinds of sparks are flying?
Oh man, retarded! Right?
It didn't even scratch paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're expecting the blade to pull away and it's just gonna fall in two. And
the one that had like the diamond whatever heads on the fucking blade or whatever. Yeah.
The flint tipped heads on it.
Yeah, it's like what?
It
blade
threw
are
major
you
sparks
using?
though. Seriously, I mean it was a fucking fireworks show.
Sometimes you gotta put on a show.
I love that the bots are getting fancier and fancier, and Tombstone and Minotaur for the most part are exactly the fucking same as they've always been.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm always scared. I don't want Ray to reinvent the wheel, but I don't want him to rest on his laurels and fall behind either.
That's kind of my thing. It's like, fuck, at least, I don't know.
paint the blade a
Put
different
some
color.
graphics on it or
Yeah,
something.
Get
It
a
would
rap. I got a rap guy. He'll help you out.
Wouldn't it be funny if, like, they tell him he has to improve it, so next year he shows up with some, like, really shittily drawn flames on it or something, and nothing else is different?
That would be great.
That would be
Some,
so
like,
fucking funny.
Some like third grader fucking flames on it.
Put absolute zero effort into it to shut him up, and comes in and is the exact same robot.
Hey, it's
With some
different,
fucking
man.
sponsored by Krylon or something.
So put some fucking spinner hubcaps on his fucking little wheel.
Some flashing lights on the end of the blade, so it's just a circular light.
Oh, it'd be funny.
Oh shit!
And then put two behind tombstones. So
Hell yeah!
that would be so fucking funny. Just to like slap in the
It's
face.
different.
Any predictions?
I still say raise the man to beat.
Mayhem.
I think he is. He actually admittedly was worried on this most recent episode that he fought because had you not seen it yet?
I've seen the new one.
The one that the guy he fought actually had beat him as Tombstone in the past at a different competition.
Event, yeah.
It was and I would never guess it.
It's one of those full body spinners.
One of those full body spinner.
Oh,
bots.
those things can be very deadly.
And he.
If they don't end up topping and just spinning in circles.
Usually those things, the key is to keep close to them because it takes them so long to wind back up.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody that beats those, they get the shit knocked out of them once and then just don't get far enough away for the spinning to kick back up.
Or if you can, like a lot of them, they put like padlocks or something on the outside of it to be their actual hitting weapon. If you can get a hit and knock one of those off or put a dent in it,
out of balance,
and they just back off and then they'll just get back up to speed and they'll just lose it and boom.
Because the crux of that deal is it's very delicately balanced.
Yeah.
So the
And as fast as they want to
centrifugal force of
spin,
it,
a little bit of weight is fucking big difference.
yeah, any little throw off and it's gonna.
I do like that.
Fling it out.
At least with Tombstone specifically, the new RPM rule doesn't seem to have. I mean, from my seat, it didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
No.
I was really worried that it would be an obvious difference, but he's still knocking shit 20 feet across the room.
Right.
I mean, that Minotaur battle, that was fucking one for the ages.
What really sucks about the new mile per hour rule instead of an RPM rule fucks Tombstone, not Minotaur.
Right.
Minotaur's never going to reach that mile per hour speed because
but he's got 8
so
million
closer.
RPMs. Yeah. Do you think the announcers, or not the announcers, but the producers were a little bit worried when that fight was so fucking good in the very beginning? That they've peaked and it's going to be really
how do
hard
we
to
follow this up?
It's going to be hard to get over that fucking hump.
Although
it's pre-filmed, so that didn't necessarily happen the first night because if they schedule that for the first night of filming, that would be really, really risky because there's a very real chance one of them is not going to be able to come back from that.
Oh,
I will say, like we said earlier,
but placing it as the first
undercard
night's main
fights,
event might mean the rest of the series is going to be solid because they're fine enough
There's
putting that
only
as...
been like a couple of those undercard fights where you're like, man, this one sucks.
Yeah,
but
were all
for the most
been
part,
really
they're
good.
fucking well matched, well paired.
Yeah.
It's way like I said, I was worried when they got rid of the whole bracket thing, but it's so
Like I said,
much better.
that's still coming.
Because now instead of, a 16 and a 1,
Tombstone's like almost guaranteed to be in the tournament.
It's like they're matching them up and pairing them up based on what weapons they have, and I mean so the fights are way better because it's not this awesome guy and this rookie. It's a lot of times they'll have the same type of weapon,
right?
And they're just kind of like two pincher bots are fucking trying to go at it, it's cool as shit this year. I like how they did it.
Yeah, me too.
Is Tombstone the only one that's 2-0?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
I can't remember. Because we haven't even seen some of the bots yet.
Yeah, there's quite a few that are.
So we're not going to see Tombstone again until the tournament starts, theoretically.
Yeah, he's already won his 2. We've only seen Minotaur once.
Yeah.
Who have we seen twice? Fuck,
We've seen Red Devil twice. I think he's 1-1.
He's 1-1.
But his second fight destroyed him. I don't know if he's going to be able to
fucked. That
rebuild.
That fucking drum spinner fucking just clean knocked his saw. Fucking, he disintegrated.
I think Hypershock's 1-1, aren't they? Or did they just have the one fight?
Wait, which one is that?
The team that comes out in the jumpsuits that are all like gray and fluorescent green, and
He's only done Man in One Fight.
okay, I can't remember his name. Older guy that's actually got like 6 giant nuts.
Oh yeah,
They can barely walk.
He's 1-1.
He's 1-1 also with the green and black shirt.
He looks like a villain off of an 80s movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looks like he's a little crackish.
A little bit,
We're
maybe.
not calling him a crackhead.
He just
Let's say he's
crack-ish.
Maybe just crack shoulder.
Right.
Yeah, he's 1-1. And the second one, he actually got his fucking ass stomped.
Yeah.
By a rookie, I believe.
What was
the New Zealand kids are 2-0.
Yep.
They're 2-0.
What was the one where the crew was like talking all kinds of shit, and then like the first hit, they were like completely disabled, and the guy was coming in, and they're like trying to turn off the light, and we surrender. They're like, we don't surrender.
That was Ray and
he's like,
fucking
stop
that
moving.
Spinnerbot. That was Ray. He's like, we quit, because he knew when
that's right.
the whole shell come off, it was just an exposed
And Ray's like, stop moving,
it was like
stop
a
moving.
control car sitting out there, like just with no armor, like his whole fucking thing just flew off. And Ray's like, stop moving or else I'm gonna.
Yeah. If you're moving, I'm gonna take you out. If you stop, I'm gonna wait for the count.
He actually kind of went like that a couple of times. And the one guy was freaking the fuck out. Because he's like, there's probably $10,000 or whatever, and how many man hours into this thing, and he's like,
no, we quit.
He's gonna make shit out of that thing. I mean,
that would have been.
He's like, it'd
I
have
love
been
his
no chance of a
attitude.
redo.
fuck.
His persona on these shows is so fucking good. Where he's like, "You guys are wasting your time. I mean, come on, it's not like anybody's gonna beat me. This is stupid. Why even bother?"
It's great.
I will say, like I said, he was sweating a little bit, and in his post fight interview, he was like, I was seriously worried about this one. Because they have beat him before.
Yeah, that's something about him.
And they've upgraded since then. Whereas he's the same.
Right. In the first episode, he was basically talking about how nobody there likes him. That was pretty funny, too.
Going into the fights, he's 100%, I'm not worried, whatever. Let's bring it.
Right.
What are you going to do? Try and take out my wheels? Please try and come after my wheels. And then after the fight, he's like, I was kind of scared going into that. It's like, woo!
But that's how you do it, though. You got to go in with that confidence.
He's good. He's good at the bravado, the machismo up front, and then the back end, he's like, fuck, man, I'll sweat bullets for that.
Yeah, you got to give that impression that, like, you have no fucking chance against me.
That first night,
though. You do that
in
any sport.
That first night, though, I can't remember if he or Justin, somebody shared a picture of Ray and the driver from Minotaur and another guy having beers together. They're all like, it's all good here.
Well, I mean, they've all. I would
it's
compare
a community,
it to like
I'm sure.
like the guys that I race with. I mean,
right.
You
Fuck
go to
those
these
guys.
same functions with all these guys all the time. You either become friends or enemies. I mean, and I look at it as I don't want to have a hobby to create enemies. So I've pretty much kind of forgiven anybody that's ever crossed me.
That's why I collect pops, is to piss people off.
You what?
That's why I collect pops, is to piss people off.
Fucking hey. But you know what I mean? Like who wants to have a hobby where you create it?
Fuck yeah.
A lot, sadly.
I guess. I mean,
a lot of those guys love that part of the fucking sport. I think.
That's not why it's too expensive and too time consuming too.
That's something that you're going to see though in any kind of a competitive hobby though. You're going to
see
like
Pogs. How many fights did we see in 6th grade from Pog battles?
Too many to count, bro.
Yep.
But yeah, you get that in any kind of a competitive hobby where you're competing in some way. You're gonna have guys that take that shit real serious. They get fucking butthurt. They get angry. They get.
For lack of a better term, I guess I've been enlightened and kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what, fuck, this shit is too expensive and too much fucking time to show up to get
grudges are exhausting.
Pissed off.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Fuck it, right? Aren't they?
And you have to remember who you hate.
You barely got the energy after everything else just to show up for the race.
Yes.
Much less to show up and have some kind of ongoing feud with another racer.
Fuck about you or what?
My big thing is my memory is so bad it's hard to keep grudges. I'll be like, fuck that guy. Why don't you like him?
I don't know.
I know I'm
I
supposed
don't
to
remember, but fuck him.
And then you'll see him at the mall in Mesa, be like, "What's up, man?" And they walk away. Fuck, I hate that guy.
Damn it.
All right, well, so record again in somewhere between 10 and 37
6 to 8
days.
months.
Something. We'll definitely see you guys at some point.
Hopefully not as long as this last break. But
We'll be back.
I know we say this almost every time, but we try and keep a steady schedule, but life gets in the fucking way.
I will say this. I just today finished my big spread job that I've been working on for like the last fucking...
Was it like
months.
a fold-out centerfold thing?
Mhm.
Nice spread.
Got her.
Nice.
No, but my life will get
a little
hopefully
easier.
Hopefully a little bit back to normal now that that big fucking spread job's out of the way.
That's good.
The last time we got delayed is because our studio had no air conditioning.
And we live in Arizona, in like the hot part of Arizona, so...
Sometimes it gets too hot in here with air conditioning.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Not today, thankfully. It's not so bad.
It's not too bad at all.
Nope. The only thing warm in here is the beer.
The beer.
Hey.
Coors half.
The
Hey,
Coors
the
half.
Coors half is always warm around here.
Fuck it. Peace.
Thank you guys. Bye.